Recording in progress.
Hello, everybody. We're going to start. I waited a minute or two in case more people were to show up, but we're going to get going because we're on time. And thank you for those who are in the chamber. Tonight is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Land Use Committee. I'm Andrea Kelly. I'm the chair. With us here in the chamber, we have Councillor Tariq Lucas, who's the vice chair. He's from Ward 2. I'm from Ward 3. From Ward 4, we have Councillor Randy Block. And from Ward 8, Stephen Farrell in the chamber. Let's see, do we have anyone else online? Not that I see yet of councillors, but we do have several important, wonderful, helpful staff members. Cassidy Flynn, who is our acting clerk, is clerking tonight. We also have from the planning department, Sandria Berman. We have Kat Kemet and Katie Wewell. And from the law department, I believe Jonah Temple. I thought I saw him. Well, there's a Jonah. Maybe it's Jonah Temple. Mr. Temple, you can identify yourself if that's true. And as I see other councillors come in who are on the committee or not, I will identify them and welcome them. I'm stating the obvious, but tonight we have a really big agenda, which is why we're starting at 6:30. We have 9 items, which is more than we usually do on a given night. But as we get towards the end of the term, a lot of petitions come in. So I'm going to ask everyone to try and be very concise in how they speak. My vice chair has suggested we're going to be here till midnight, and I really hope that's not true. So for everyone, petitioners and land use members and the public, try and keep your thoughts organized. I want it to be thorough. I want to hear from everyone, but I don't want us to be here till midnight. The first few items we have before us tonight are returning items that we've had before and held. And the public hearing is still open on those matters. So the first one we're going to start with is number 142-25, which is a request to exceed FAR and to allow parking in the front setback and within 5 feet of the street at 65 Clark Street. Tonight, just to let you gentlemen know who are standing there, we're going to start each petition with an update from the planning department who can give a little background, tell us what's different this time on each project and what we need to be considering. So first we'll hear from planning on this one.
Good evening, Madam Chair. I will share my screen if you just give me a moment.
And that is Kat Kemet.
Yes, thank you. My name is Kat Kemet. I'm Deputy Chief Planner on the current planning team here at City Hall. This is petition 142-25 for 65 Clark Street. This is a special permit request to exceed FAR and allow parking in the front setback of the existing 2-family dwelling. The first public hearing for this petition was opened and held on May 20th of this year. Subsequently, another meeting was held on August 19th for the petitioner to respond to a few comments from the committee. The petitioner is planning to construct a 2.5-story rear addition onto the existing house, which needs relief for FAR. The plan also includes a new driveway. There'll be 2 curb cuts in total, with 1 on Clark and 1 on Cloverdale, with tandem parking for a total of 4 cars, with 2 in each driveway. The stalls do still need relief for their location in the front setback, but the plan has since been changed and the stalls are all 5 feet or more from the street now, so that element of relief is no longer needed, and they will all measure 9 by 19 feet, so they are compliant in terms of their size. The petitioner submitted a new site plan last week on September 25th. This plan is substantially the same as when the committee last discussed this item in August. The only difference is that a retaining wall and the parking on Cloverdale Road has been shifted slightly away from some existing trees and closer to the house. So it doesn't impact relief. It's just a slight relocation of the wall and the parking by a few feet. The petitioner has, since that meeting, also consulted with the city's tree warden and has received approval for their tree permit for the project, so that has already been granted. A total of 50 caliper inches of tree will be removed, which is unchanged from the previous planting plan that the petitioner showed. 25 caliper inches will be replanted on site in the form of large tree canopy, with northern white cedar, sugar maple, and red maple trees added on the site. And to make up for the 25 caliper inches of tree replacement that will not be on site, the petitioner has made a payment in lieu to the city, and we've already received that payment. So that concludes my comments. Happy to pull up any plans or answer questions that may arise.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kemet. Would the petitioner like to add anything at this time that wasn't covered by the planning department? But you're here in case there are questions. Thank you very much. And at that time, you can identify yourselves if you want, or maybe you should do that now. Just give us your name and address. Gentleman at the microphone, petitioners.
My name is Ritesh Kochar,
I'm Sanjay Desai.
and we're both partners that own 65 Clark Street. And on the phone, just for everybody's information, we have our contractor, Will Santos, as well as our arborist, Tom Files from Save a Tree.
Great. In case there are questions, that team can answer them. Thank you very much. Did you catch the names all right, Ms. Flynn? Okay. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak again on this? Yes, ma'am, come to the microphone. Just again, give us your name and address to start.
My name is Ella Perlish, and I live at 67 Athelstane Road, which is a few houses down from the house in question. And it's very happy to hear that that house will not be torn down as the other houses on my street, and I mourn each one of them. So what I would like the city to do is to offer the petitioners all the help they can get that it's possible. Because, well, that will make me very happy because the plans look beautiful and I want this house to survive and to be restored. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sure the petitioners appreciate your neighborly offer of help, and that will be nice when things get going. Anyone else from the public or on the Zoom meeting who would like to speak to this? I don't see anyone. I would like to welcome Councillor Allison Leary, who has joined us in the chamber and the committee. Yes, sir, you may come forward. I was just welcoming another land use committee member. Go ahead, just let us know who you are and speak.
This is Barak Sifkin, 74.
Speak
Clark Street.
more into the microphone if possible.
Barak Sifkin, 74 Clark Street. The house in question is right across from my house. And it's been an eyesore for well, I believe over a year, and nothing is being done. I did see the plans. It looks very nice. I think it will enhance the neighborhood, and I can urge you to get with this process, as soon as possible, because it's really, it's a view from my window. So I would love it to be settled as soon as possible.
Thank you, sir. I don't see any hands on Zoom. I'm going to ask one more time. Are you just coming back to be available? You're not saying more? Okay. I don't see any more hands, though if you have a comment, please raise your hand or make yourself known and I'll try and call on you. Right now, we'll take it into the committee. These people have dealt with this project 2 or 3 previous meetings, and let's hear what they have to say about the changes or improvements or clarifications that you've brought forward this time. Committee members, Councillor Farrell.
Thank you, Chair. In following up on the prior 2 meetings that we had, I understand there's an approval by the tree commissioner for the new plan.
That is correct.
Does that plan include taking down that tree that I've spoken about several times, which is about within 2 feet of your property line near the rear?
So, Councillor, you're referring to tree number 13?
I don't know what the
Can I
number
pull
is.
them up? You can pull them up. I just want to confirm which tree, and then I can give you a more precise response.
Thank you.
Councillor Farrell, we have these trees 13 through 22 that were not previously identified in the plan that you saw in the last hearing that have since been added. These are trees that are just behind the existing fence that are between the two properties. Some of them are on our neighbor's property, some are actually in the middle, and then some touching the fence, which is our property. If I can show you this picture, that might be actually better visual for you to confirm.
Let me just check too with Counselor Farrell that, well, with that one back on, could you see those trees and numbers well enough to identify the location of the tree you're talking about?
It's a little bit hard to tell, but
Because we could have them zoom in, and I'm wondering if you meant tree 7 on
I'm
that.
hoping that he's going to show us a picture of the
Okay.
tree that we're talking about.
Just want to be sure you can see it clearly
Thank you.
enough.
If you're seeing our screen, Councillor Farrell, this is behind the fence.
Right.
And I imagine this is this first tree that you're referring to, the biggest that we have on there, number 12.
And behind the fence, you mean on a neighboring, abutting property, not on your property?
It's on our property. The fence was created like a 1.5 foot into our property. Because these trees were right there, we opted to pull our fence for the trees closer to the property. Because the property line is right where this bunch of trees currently exist. It was not possible for us to put our fence any further back.
So are those trees which you say are on your property line?
That is correct. So out of these, the first few are, and then there are a couple that are not. And I can show you that in another visual right here.
If I may.
Sure.
Those trees that you were just showing us, those are right in the corner there. They're all coming down?
None of them are coming down.
None of them are coming down.
If I may add a clarification, 3 of these trees, and Tom Miles is on the phone here if you need an expert to provide feedback, but he mentioned that 3 of these trees are either dead or dying. Out of the ones that you see that are the cluster of 4 or 5 trees by the fence, and he had put in his recommendation to Newton that we should either take them down or extensively prune. At this point in time, Newton has said prune them down, but I talked to the neighbor as well, and he concurs that these are practically dead, if not already dying. So 3 of these are likely to go based on the renovation, based on our continued conversations with Mark Welch, and we've retained Save a Tree for consultative work through the renovation. Between the 2, they will make a determination if those 3 trees should come down or not after the pruning is done and an assessment is made.
Okay, I certainly agree with you. The tree in right front is absolutely dead. And you're saying now that the trees right behind it, the 2 or 3 trees right behind it, and the one that is inside the fence, those are all your trees.
Correct. These are all our trees. If I may go back to the site
Okay,
plan.
no, that's, I just, and the second part of this is, as I understood, you are going to fill all of that back lot with about 5 feet of fill to bring it up to street level?
Under 4 feet of fill, yes.
And that will go right to your property line?
No, so that is the other change that Cab was talking about. If you look in our site plan, would you like me to make it a little larger? I can show you. So the retaining wall, that's this double line,
Okay.
has been pulled in closer to the property. So you see these trees, they were basically this dotted line or the line with circles is the current fence line. And the retaining wall was supposed to go very close to that. We've pulled that in further by a couple of feet. So the parking is pulled in, the retaining wall is pulled in, giving more opportunity for these trees to survive. And Tom, who's on the phone, confirmed that this gives him a high degree of confidence based on him coming in with air spading and root pruning that all of these trees will survive, barring those 3 that are either already dead or dying.
Thank you. And I guess I'd just like it to be on record that even though you've moved this wall in closer to the house, that how deep will that wall go? Do you have any idea?
Yes, we have the wall max to the left, which is on the Clark side, is 3.7 feet. The one running by the back wall is between 3.1 on the end closer to Cloverdale to 3.5 on the corner closer to the edge.
Okay.
Counselor Farrell, are you asking how deep it goes in terms of its foundation and
Yeah.
structure, or how high it is? I think
No,
you were answering how high it is.
High.
He's asking, he's thinking
How far it
about
goes into the land?
the
Yes.
health of the tree roots. How, is that what you're getting at here?
Thank you for your interpretation. I appreciate it.
So what is what is the structure of the wall, and how far down does the sort of foundation or underground parts of the support for the wall go, is the question.
I do not know the answer to that, but I have my contractor, Will Santos, if you could please come off mute and help answer this question. How much into the ground does our retaining wall go?
I think he appears there as Mr. Will, yeah.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I'm
Could you
Wilson
identify
Santos.
yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm Wilson Santos. I'm the contract for 65 Clark Street.
Are you on video too? I don't see you here.
No, I'm not on video. I'm actually
Okay.
in the car. Sorry.
Okay, you're Mr. Ville?
Yes, Wilson Santos.
Okay. So the question was asked about how deep the foundational structure of this wall goes down into the ground.
So we are on a retaining wall. If you're talking about the retaining wall, we'll go up to 4 feet. But I'm having checking with our foundation people who does our retaining wall that he probably going to go 2 feet and a half.
2.5 feet deep.
Correct.
And because we've heard that you're in compliance with the tree ordinance and have talked with the tree warden, is it your contention that this will not interfere with the health of the roots of these 4 trees?
Correct. So that we don't want to go that deep because we don't want to have those trees compromised. And then the retaining wall footing will be a little bit an angle and backfield. So it's not going to be a straight footing. It's going to be like an angle.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate this. And as long as our concern is expressed in the record, that, and that is that the interference with the roots will not kill these trees, and the tree warden is aware of that, then I'm fine with it. My second question, and this is quick, is that are you going to remove the concrete pad that the old garage sat on?
Yes.
Yes, we're going to remove the concrete pad.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Farrell. Any other questions or comments from committee members? Councillor Lucas.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for for coming back. I know you want to see this approved. I think the project is ready to go. So when ready, I'll move to close the public hearing and move for approval, Chair. Thank you.
I don't see any other questions or comments, so I think we're ready for that motion. There is a motion to close the public hearing. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Absent? Okay, public hearing is closed. Can we take a look at the council order?
Yes, I'll bring those up now. And this is
Thank you.
Kemet again. So for findings, we have 1, the site is an appropriate location for the parking stalls in the front setbacks because the site is constrained by its location on a corner lot. The site has 2 pre-existing non-conforming front setbacks, which make locating parking in a way that doesn't require relief challenging. 2, the parking stalls will not adversely affect the neighborhood because other dwellings in the neighborhood have parking in the front setback. 3, the stalls will not create a nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians because the stalls will be dimensionally compliant and adequate sight lines will be provided. 4, access to the site over streets is appropriate for the types and numbers of vehicles involved. 5, the proposed increase in FAR from 0.49 to 0.6, where 0.5 is the maximum allowed by right, is consistent with and not in derogation of the size, scale, and design of other structures in the neighborhood because the addition will be located at the rear of the dwelling. And 6, literal compliance with the dimensional parking requirements is impracticable because the site is constrained by its location on a corner lot, and the setbacks prevent construction of by right parking elsewhere on the site. And for conditions, we have our standard referencing conditions with the latest site plan and the architectural plans, and our standard building permit conditions and our standard occupancy conditions. And that is all.
Thank you, Ms. Kemet. Counselor Farrell, is there any wording that you would have liked to have seen in the conditions that you did not see there in terms of protection of the tree roots? Or are we assuming that that's covered by the tree ordinance and the tree warden's input? And we don't need to speak to it?
I'm comfortable with the tree warden approving this, knowing our concerns. Thanks.
Thank you, Counselor Farrell. All right, I believe we now have a motion also to, for approval made by Counselor Farrell. We'll do this on a roll call vote.
Counselor Block,
Aye.
Counselor Downs, Counselor Farrell,
Aye.
Counselor Kelly,
Aye.
Counselor Leary,
Aye.
Counselor Lobovitz, Counselor Lucas,
Aye.
President Laredo. The motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Good luck,
Thank you,
gentlemen.
Council. Thank you so much.
Just took a little longer than I was hoping. We're going to move on to the next item, which is number 223-25. Again, this is one that has been before us several times. It's a request to amend the site plan associated with special permit number 101-21. That shows you how long it's been here. And to allow a combination of walls exceeding 4 feet in height at 667-673 Boylston Street. Again, let's hear from the planning department.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This is Katie Wewell with Planning. So we have petition 223-25, which is a request to amend the previously approved site plan from special permit 101-21 to allow changes. So in reviewing the request, the council should consider the 4 standard special permit criteria that was in the packet. And then, so this was previously before the committee on August 19th, and I believe at the time of that meeting, we had a revised plan. We just did not have we meaning planning, didn't have adequate time to review and give the committee our full confidence that this was ready. So the revised site plan as built demonstrates compliance with the heights of retaining walls as well as open space. So the retaining wall relief has been removed. The changes made to the site plan still rise to the level of an amendment, which is before the committee tonight. So the reconfigured retaining walls, as well as areas constructed of pavers that are now physically separated by curbing, so as not to further reduce the open space calculation. And that is due to an ISD interpretation that these areas would have been counted as parking and result in a reduction in open space. So I think that's all we have. We're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Wewell. Would the petitioner or his representative like to add anything to that? Mr. Morris, for instance? I see you on Zoom. Has he been given, Mr. Morris, if you can say whether you want to say something or not, and we see that you're here if there are questions. Are you ready? Do you want to speak now? And if not, we're going to move on, and you can raise your hand if you want to come in a little bit later. I don't see any movement from Mr. Morris right now or anyone else on the petition, owners. Okay, let's see if there are any members of the public who would like to speak to this. Did you have a comment? Oh, okay, we will come to you next. Alice Morris. I think this might not be Alice Morris.
Oh, that's right. That was me. And I was sitting at my wife's computer, so I couldn't speak because you didn't recognize me.
Because we recognized you as Terry Morris.
Oh, well, I wish it looked that good. We're very pleased with the presentation made by Ms. Wewell regarding this petition. The principal catalyst was the fact that we had to install a retaining wall along the east edge of the property, which necessitated because of the change in grade. Uncharacteristically, the property next door to us down east was actually higher than we were. And so to avoid water runoff onto our property, we erected a retaining wall that is less than 2.5 feet, running almost the entire length of that property line. Just wanted to explain how this originated in the first instance. Thank you for the opportunity.
So what you're saying is things were built that hadn't been submitted by plan or approved. However, they're still in conformance with the zoning ordinance, which just needs an amendment to be approved at this point.
That is correct. That is correct.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Now we'll hear from the committee members. Councillor Lucas.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Morris, I'm still a little confused on this, so bear with me. Did your client ever build a retaining wall that was greater than 4 feet?
A retaining wall, if I could share the screen, I'll show you what was referred to as a series of walls.
You may do that.
Okay, can everyone see what I'm sharing the screen now, I hope?
No.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, let's say share. Can you see now, series of retaining walls?
No.
No? I'm sharing. They were between.
go.
Oh, you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, what you're looking at is a profile of the building or a plan of the building between the buildings. There's a 10-foot separation between the two duplexes. There were a series of retaining walls that were like exceeded 4 feet by about 6 inches. We resolved that by backfilling one of the walls to basically reduce it to below 4 feet. So that relief went away.
Mr. Morris, did you say you raised the grade?
No, I'm saying actually we one of the reasons why we installed the retaining wall running along the east edge of the property was so that we wouldn't have to raise the grade because the neighboring property was higher than ours topographically. The retaining walls that you're looking at are between the buildings. They are probably 10 feet in length. There were 4 of them. And as I said, we changed the grade in between the two of them so that the series of walls is less than 4 feet now. Again, I would repeat.
I'm sorry. I want to go back one. You changed the grade around the retaining wall so that they would be less than 4 feet. Is that what you're saying?
Not around the retaining walls. These are retaining walls between the two buildings, and we raised the grade 6 inches to get them below 4 feet. Between the buildings. Had no significant impact on the site anywhere else.
Okay, does this change how we measure the height of the building?
No.
Okay, can I speak to planning? I think it was Ms. Wewell. Does this change the height of the building and how we measure height?
I don't know, but the buildings are constructed, so I don't think this change impacts that, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, before a certificate of occupancy is issued, does an inspector go to the site and measure the height of the building?
No, the height of the building is basically shown on the approved site plan. In fact, I can go to that and show you what the height is shown.
Right, and also the height is taken from the perimeter of the building, so in that this is sort of one elevation and one section, it may not have an impact, but planning does not calculate height.
Would ISD do that when they go out to the site?
I don't know. I think if there was a concern, they could. They have a tool to do that, but I don't know.
Okay,
Excuse me, I can cut to the chase on this. I've got the site plan up on the screen now.
can you
everyone-
zoom in, Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Morris, sorry.
Yes. You want me to zoom in on on the profile?
Yeah, at the top of your page, there's a plus sign.
Yeah, thank you very much. Plus sign. Okay, here we go. The building height is 34 feet 9 inches, well below the 36 feet allowed. The existing.
4.9.
Right, correct.
Even if you were
That's one
to
of
add
the, that's one of the
6
buildings.
inches.
The other building is 35.1. So raising a section of a retaining wall that's 4 feet long, 6 inches did not impact significantly the height of the building. I think this was much ado about nothing, excuse me. I understand you were confused, but I hope I've clarified that for your benefit.
I'm all set, Mr. Morris.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments from the Land Use Committee members? Questions about changes that have been made? Also, let's welcome Councillor Lobovitz, who has arrived in the chamber. He's from Ward 6. Any other questions about the walls, the grading, revisiting this project for the at least third time? If not, this is in your ward, I believe. Do you feel caught up enough to make a motion to close the public hearing?
Yes, I'll move to close the public hearing.
Thank you. All in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? I don't think there's anyone else besides us in the chamber. Okay, let's take a look at conditions and findings. No one from the public wanted to speak.
Okay, let me just share my screen with the draft order. So we have the 4 standard special permit criteria, and this points to the amendment being, an appropriate location and overall reasonable because the topography of the neighborhood is sort of similar in that there are other retaining walls and properties are set at higher elevations in this area.
Could that be enlarged? Could we
Oh.
enlarge the image so we can read it ourselves? Thank you.
Go through me.
Yeah,
So
can
the
we enlarge
second,
it?
Now it's been done, but it just is helpful then that she knows people know who they're listening to. Is that
can
large
everyone
enough?
see it right now?
I don't see that you can make that too much bigger and fit on the size. Could be maybe 1 click bigger. How's that? Better? Okay, proceed. Thank you.
Yep. So like I said, the neighborhood does have varying topography and properties set at a higher elevation with retaining walls. The retaining walls, or some of them, are screened from the public way, and properties to the east also have retaining walls in similar locations as the subject property. No nuisance or serious hazard because the retaining walls don't impact site circulation. Access is appropriate for the types and numbers of vehicles involved. And then really the only condition that is being updated here is which I've highlighted that references the most recent plan that we have on file. Everything else from special permit 101-21 has been carried over. So the only thing that is changing is that 1A reference.
Thank you. Councillor Lucas.
Thank you. Ms. Wewell, I just want to go back to what we were just talking about. So does ISD go out to the site and review the changes that were made to ensure that the retaining wall is under 4 feet and the building height would be less than 36 feet?
I can't speak to what ISD does. I don't, I'm not with them when they do that visit. I think when there is something in question or something looks off, that is when what's on the ground is more scrutinized. You can just tell if something appears to be taller than 4 feet or is off dimensionally. However, we we, as well as ISD, rely on the plans from the professionals that are submitted that have top and bottom of well measurements.
Okay, all right, well, I guess, all right, I'm all set with this. Thank you, Chair.
I think we're ready for someone to make a motion, and I think it's not going to be Counselor Lobovitz. Counselor Lucas?
I move to approve.
Thank you. We just listened to findings and conditions, so I think we can just take a vote on this.
Counselor Block,
Aye.
Counselor Downs, Counselor Farrell,
Aye.
Counselor Kelly,
Aye.
Counselor Leary,
Aye.
Counselor Lobovitz,
Aye.
Counselor Lucas,
Aye.
President Laredo. The motion passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Madam Chair.
Morris. We're all set with that one, finally.
Hope you'll just recognize my wife and later on in 22 Jerome.
Yes, we'll see you again. The last of the items that's back before us from previous public hearings being opened is number 145-25, which is a request to exceed FAR, to exceed the non-conforming side and front setbacks, and to waive one parking stall at 270 Derby Street. Ms. Wewell, I think that's you again?
Yep, it's me again. Let me share my screen.
Yes, please.
Okay, so we have petition 145-25, and this is a special permit to raise the existing dwelling and construct a new two-story single-family dwelling exceeding the maximum FAR, as well as extending a non-conforming side setback. This property is close to the Newton Waltham boundary. It's located in a single residence 3 zone on Derby Street. The lot is undersized at 4,435 square feet. So you can kind of see the pattern of the neighborhood, kind of undersized lots and similar dwellings atop them. The relief being sought is to exceed FAR and to alter and extend the non-conforming side setback. When reviewing the request, the council should consider the 4 standard special permit criteria as well as the non-conforming criteria for that side setback. So this was last before the committee, I believe in the spring of this year, and revised plans in July show the proposed single-family dwelling shifted towards the rear property line. So this results in an increase in the length of the proposed driveway from 10 feet as previously proposed to 25.3 feet. This results in an elimination of the previously requested parking relief. So it now is compliant with 2 parking stalls appropriately located outside of the 5 feet within the street, and 1 is allowed within the front setback. The relief to exceed FAR is still relevant here. However, they have eliminated 143 square feet from the previously proposed project. This results in an FAR of 0.55, where 0.48 is the maximum allowed as a right and 0.58 was previously proposed. At one of the prior hearings, committee members inquired about the grading of the site. Street level is approximately 118-foot elevation, and the first floor of the dwelling is at 124 feet. So this represents a change of approximately 6 feet from the street to the first floor of the structure. The front yard shows spot grade elevations of 119 and 120-foot elevations. So just showing a gradual increase in the slope of the site, as evidenced by a partially exposed basement and the stairs leading to the front door. The first floor is set at a higher grade than street level. So that concludes the planning presentation, but we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Wewell. Is there someone from the petitioner, owner petitioner here in the chamber or online who would like to speak? Grant? Grant Gao?
Hi, good evening. Thank you. for
Hello,
having me.
we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Wewell, for the introduction. Aside from the descriptions, I just like to add that. First of all, my name is Grant Gao, and aside from the descriptions previously mentioned, we also want to add that the proposal will also reduce the total area of impervious surface and improve drainage of stormwater. And there are no trees on this entire lot, and we are planning on planting a tree in the backyard. And we believe the proposed structure will be an improvement to the existing structure. Please let me know if you have any other questions.
Could you give us your address, please?
Oh, sure. My address is 4 Eastleigh Lane in Natick.
Thank you. I'm glad you can stay around in case there are more questions. We appreciate that.
Thank
Are
you.
there any members of the public who have questions or comments about this petition? Anyone on Zoom want to raise a virtual hand? I don't see anyone in the chamber. So we'll take this into committee. Councillor Block, your ward.
Indeed. Guess a question for both the petitioner and for planning. I'm looking at the relief that's requested, that the existing structure is 3.3 feet on the side setback, and the proposal is essentially the same, 3.4 feet. We're faced with a proposal to demolish this structure. So I'm wondering why the side setback can't be 7.5 feet. 3 feet is not very much. 7.5 feet is not very much, but that's the requirement. And since this is a demolition, we're not constrained by the existing building. So I'd like to ask the petitioner if they considered a 7.5 foot side setback, which they're meeting on one side, but not on the other side. And I'd like planning's opinion about allowing such a deviation from the required distance when a demolition is involved. So those questions for both the petitioner and the planning department.
Mr. Gao, would you like to take the first shot at that? Are you also the builder, or is there a different builder or contractor, architect? Are you the right person to answer this question?
I am the builder. So I actually designed the building as well. And we also have an architect doing a follow-up review on this. But I mainly design the proposed building. So I would like to answer this question.
Please do.
So if you look at the, I actually share my screen here of the site plan. So if you look at the right side of the lot line is quite slanted. So it gets really narrow in the back. So in order to keep the, I mean, this is a small lot to begin with. And if we were to make the proposed building rectangular, we'll lose quite a bit in the front. So, I mean, we are improving slightly on the right, barely 0.1 foot. But we are bringing the front and left setback to compliance. So we have tried to increase the right side setback to 7.0 5. But because of the shape of the lot, it actually caused the layout of the house to be extremely awkward. We actually spent a couple months working on that, but it's really just a really awkward layout. That's why we are taking our shot at this. But I would believe this relief is very modest. Right beyond the lot line, the right side lot line, is actually a driveway and a fence. So it's not really really close to the neighbor's house. There's a whole driveway and some yard space in between. Not to mention the fence. So that's the reason why we are still trying to request for relief on that.
I might just step in on Councillor Block's question. And correct me, Councillor Block, if I'm misinterpreting what you're asking or your intention here, but it seems to me, Mr. Gao, that Councillor Block is saying, why couldn't you just bring the house 4 feet further in and be in compliance with a 7 or 7.5 foot setback, which would mean you would need to reduce the width of the house on the interior 4 feet. Is that a feasible consideration? Is that something you thought of doing?
Yeah, like I said, because of the shape of the lot, decreasing the width of the house will cause the layout to be awkward. We have tried to do that several times with the different designs, but they all came out to be somewhat awkward. And unfortunately, this is the current design is I think would be our best option.
We understand that, but you're saying that reducing the width of the house by 4 more feet to give a greater side setback, you're calling it awkward. Does that mean you feel it's too small to be workable? And that's why you're sticking, and I see you stepped it back to try and accommodate that. That was a good move. But you're not willing to give up the additional, say, 4 feet to make it more like a 7-foot setback? Is that what you're saying, Councillor Block?
Yeah, essentially, yeah, that's the case. Because we try to fit the kitchen, a modest-sized living room, and I believe a powder room, a dining area in there. So the house would just be super narrow and long, and it's barely able to fit a staircase in there comfortably. So yeah, that's why we still end up with a 3.4 setback.
What's the total width at that time? I can't read it on the plan. It's a little blurry. It looks like 20 something or other feet.
It's 28.4 in the back.
28.
Yeah, it's only 28.4. It's not not huge.
Back to Councillor Block. Sorry if I took that over. I just wasn't sure. I didn't hear him quite answering the question in the way.
No, I appreciate it. I think you framed it properly. Well, before we switch to planning, because I do want their thoughts about this principle, because we're not talking about retaining an existing structure and therefore being constrained by that. I understand we're constrained by, the developer is constrained by the shape of the lot, which does narrow as it proceeds toward the back. The 3.4 foot distance, is that the distance? I can't read it from here, but is that the distance from the property line to where that notch in the design occurs? Is that your 3.4 feet?
For the outer corner.
Right, right.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So all right, how'd you decide to put the notch there and not a little bit more forward. So maybe it's not 3.4 feet, maybe it's 4.4 or 5.4, so that you're not asking for quite as much relief as you are. What prevented you, or what were your thoughts about that?
So that's an interesting question. So I'm just switching to the floor plans here.
Yes, I appreciate that. That's
That's
good.
where the
Yes.
stairs are.
So the notch actually creates a space for the staircase.
Mhm.
Now we the all the dimensions here is actually very compact.
Yeah.
We have a small little front porch, a dining room, and then a small hallway closet. Then we have a staircase going up to the second floor, and it also serve as a staircase for the basement floor. So there are some building code requirements for the size of the steps, for the treads and the risers. So that's what we, that's the space required for the staircase. And honestly, the only room that we have maybe is about 2 feet next to the left and right of the dining room door. But moving this notch maybe 2 feet to the front would probably give us another inch. So it's really not going to make any difference. Yeah, it's just again, is we are really constrained by the the shape of the lot, and like I said, we moved the entire floor plan, entire footprint of the proposed house back quite a bit to create the parking stall up front. So we actually have decreased the width of the house as a result to fit into that the space. Yeah, so that's that's the.
So
I hope I answer your question.
Back to Councilor Block.
You certainly have explained how you've ended up with design that you have. Planning department, anybody there have any thoughts about this situation?
Sure. So in the original iteration of this plan, that setback was actually wider. It was at 3.9 feet. So in an effort to consider the committee's asks at the prior hearing, they moved the house back, which reduced the setback to where it is today to accommodate the parking concerns. So every design choice is a trade-off between kind of a balancing act. However, you'll note also in the criteria that we go over at all of the hearings, the non-conforming criteria is a lesser threshold than the rest of the special permit criteria. And that's because nonconformities are protected by the state. So the council should consider here whether this non-conforming setback is substantially more detrimental than the existing structure and its non-conforming setback. So there is a framework for where you can consider when making your decision.
Thank you for that explanation. That's very helpful. I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Block. Councilor Maliki, I see your hand, but I'm still keeping it in committee for now. And I'm just going to mention that as I tried to make out the tiny dimension numbers on the plan, I will say it looks to me that the rooms are very modestly sized. They're not oversized rooms. They're like 8 and 9 feet by 10 and 11 in general. Only one's a little bit longer, but quite narrow. I think I can understand Mr. Gao talking about the awkwardness of making them smaller. And in terms of the stairs, you need to have a landing at the top. You can't just end in a wall and set that back. So as I look at the floor plan, I understand more why they've chosen to do it this way. And as Ms. Wewell pointed out, by shifting the house back, there were some trade-offs to be made. Councillor Lucas.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think this is all set. The setback is 3.4 feet because again, it's a small lot and it's oddly shaped where it angles up as you go deeper into the into the site. So that's why the setback is 3.4 feet. So I think this is all set. Thank you.
I like how you're moving this forward. Sorry, Councillor Maliki, we've got one more committee member who's going to speak, and then I'll come to you. And we are trying to keep ourselves very brief tonight. I'm not sure you're here at the beginning. Councillor Maliki, we have 7 more items on our agenda tonight. Councillor Leary.
I'll be very brief. I think this petition has made the changes that are reasonable here. I mean, they've limited 140 square feet of impervious surface. The shape of the lot is really driving the FAR relief. And I would like them to be able to, you know, have a livable residence that's comfortable. And I think that he has done that. So I would be in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Leary, and very concise. Councillor Maliki. Thanks for waiting.
I'll be concise too. I guess I have trouble finding a lot of sympathy for somebody who buys an undersized odd-shaped lot for, I guess, a mere $500,000 and then says it's difficult to build on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Maliki. Councillor Block, back to you.
I'm prepared to make some motions
Please do.
to close the public hearing.
All right, we'll vote on that one before you make the other one, I guess. All in favor of closing the public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No one is opposed. And next,
I will move to approve.
thank you, Councillor Block. Let's look at findings and conditions.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Let me just zoom in for everyone. Can everyone see that okay?
Yes, we can see it better.
Okay, great. So we have the 4 standard special permit criteria. So the site is an appropriate location for this project that exceeds FAR as the lot is narrow and undersized. It presents challenging conditions for truly by right options in full compliance with zoning. The proposed single family will not adversely affect the neighborhood as it remains below the as of right height and number of stories. Similarly sized dwellings on undersized lots are a common condition within the immediate neighborhood. There will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians created by this proposed single-family dwelling. And access to the site over streets is appropriate for the types and numbers of vehicles involved. And the proposed dwelling that will result in an FAR 0.55, where 0.48 is the maximum allowed, is consistent and not in derogation of the size, scale, and design of other structures in the neighborhood. The dwelling will contain 2 stories, and similarly sized dwellings on undersized lots are prevalent in the neighborhood. And lastly, with this non-conforming criteria, it's not substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming structure, as the non-conforming side setback is improving slightly and the property line narrows as the lot extends to the rear. And then jumping down to the conditions, we have the revised site plan. In condition 1, the architectural plans. We have the standard building permit condition, standard rodent control, as well as the standard occupancy condition. And that concludes the order review.
Thank you, Ms. Wewell. We have a motion by Councillor Block before us to vote on. Let's do it.
Councillor Block,
Aye.
Councillor Downs, Councillor Farrell,
Aye.
Councillor Kelly,
Aye.
Councillor Leary,
Aye.
Councillor Lobovitz,
Aye.
Councillor Lucas,
Aye.
President Laredo. The motion passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
70 Derby, good luck.
Thank
Move
you very
forward.
much.
Then we're starting to move into opening the public hearings for new petitions. This first one is actually a project that came before us, which was approved, but they're coming back asking for an amendment to that. So this is item number 265-25, which is a request to amend special permit number 360-24 at 31 Chase Street. Thank you for coming to the microphone. We'll hear from the planning department first, and then you can speak.
Okay, thank you once again, Madam Chair. We have petition 265-25, and this is a request to amend special permit 360-24 to remove the permeable paver requirement under condition 2. When reviewing this request, the council should consider these 4 standard special permit criteria for this amendment to eliminate the permeable paving requirement. So just a little more on the request, and I've included the prior order language here. So you can see under the standard building permit condition under 2B, the condition was placed upon this petition or prior petition that the applicant submit a revised plot plan at the building permit phase to show the same area that was proposed to be paved as being constructed with permeable pavers. So that is what they are looking to change. And just, a kind of overview of the property, you can see 31 Chase Street, and you can see that parking area at the front, and also how the site is constrained by the placement of the dwelling, as well as a porch, I believe, is also in there. So that the relief that was approved last time was to allow parking in the front setback and within 5 feet of the street because of the unique conditions of the lot. And then I think the small sliver here is where the driveway was to be expanded. And then, I think the applicant stated they were doing the whole thing at once, and that is where the committee approved the permeable paver condition that is under review tonight. So that concludes the planning presentation, but happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for that nice recap. Reminded me of how we got to here. Sir, are you the owner of this property and would like to speak? There's a
Can you hear me
button at the
okay?
bottom of the base.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, just give us your name and address.
My name is Eugenio Candel, and I am one of the homeowners of 31 Chase Street in Union Center. So thank you for allowing me, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you. I promise to be very concise. My name is Eugenio Candel, as I said, and along with my wife, Kara, who could not be here tonight due to a work conflict, I'm here to respectfully request removal of the condition requiring permeable pavers from the special permit previously granted for my driveway. I make this request as a homeowner and a community member, someone who cares about maintaining a safe and attractive home and neighborhood. Importantly, removing the paver requirement will not increase the amount of impervious surface on our property. The driveway will remain asphalt as it has been for decades. Additionally, we will remain within the allowable limit for impervious space. Our request is supported by Councilors Martha Bixby and by Councilor Danberg, who lives across the street at 30 Chase, as well as several neighbors, some of whom have actually written to this committee directly. As you pointed out, this front setback of our home, the only space available for a driveway, has accommodated 2 cars for as long as anyone in the neighborhood can remember. We have lived in the home for 6 years. When I applied to repave the existing asphalt driveway, which is in disrepair, I learned that the driveway was legally zoned for only 1 parking spot. And we deeply appreciate the committee's decision last year to grant us additional space. However, the requirement that we install permeable pavers for those 2 spaces creates an unreasonable and inconsistent burden. After consulting several contractors, I received 2 quotes. Repaving the existing asphalt, including the small patch of dirt, cost $7,800. Installing pavers in the 2 spaces cost $23,380. More than $17,000 of which is for pavers alone. This requirement nearly triples the project cost. As homeowners, not developers with access to discounted subcontractors, this expense feels unreasonable. We know we are privileged to live in Newton, but we also work very hard to be able to live here and to maintain our home. And we have spent more than $5,000 on the permitting process itself, including a land survey and 2 $1,000 application fees. The city's own storm water management and erosion control regulations specify that only class 1, 2, and 3 soils are considered pervious. According to the engineering department, pavers, even those marketed as pervious, are treated the same as asphalt when calculating impervious space. In other words, paving with so-called permeable pavers does not increase the pervious surface under city standards. The intent of the requirement to use pavers is admirable, but in practice, it does not achieve its goal. Even if repaved with asphalt, our property remains compliant with regulations governing the ratio of pervious to impervious space. Cutting down any trees, we are not removing grass or altering landscaping. We seek only to replace the existing asphalt and a small patch of gravel to make our driveway and sidewalks safe and attractive for our family and neighbors. For these reasons, we respectfully request that the requirement for permeable pavers be removed from our permit. Allowing us to repave an asphalt will ensure our driveway is safe and attractive while keeping us fully compliant with Newton's zoning regulations. Finally, I'd like to draw your attention to supporting documents which you may have available submitted for your review, the 2 contractor quotes comparing the cost of asphalt versus pavers, an email from the engineering department clarifying the city's definitions of pervious and impervious materials, and letters and emails of support from neighbors and city councilors. We thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you, sir. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak to this? And you're right, we have received a few letters from neighbors. So we've already gotten some public testimony. I don't see any other hands up to speak to this right now. So we'll take it into the committee. Councillor Lobovitz.
So I just want to clarify that this has not been paved yet, Is that the case?
That's correct.
Okay, I wasn't, I don't think I was part of the discussion about the requirement to install pervious pavers. So if somebody, whoever through the chair, could enlighten me about why that was required. And then to respond to the points of the petitioner about so-called pervious pavers are not really pervious, they're impervious. That's new to me, and so I would like to get a better explanation of that. So for now, those are the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I question that part of it too, and perhaps there are differing opinions on that. For your information, I'm a landscape architect and site planner by profession besides chairing this committee. And I do believe that there is pervious pavement, which is more pervious than asphalt to be had. It doesn't have to be paver blocks. It could be other kinds of pervious surface, but I think that's perhaps a debatable assertion that you made tonight. Councillor Lucas. I think you had your hand up next.
Yeah, okay. Thanks. So this is where I'm at with this particular petition, with permeable pavers versus asphalt. We require permeable pavers and special permit conditions on new construction. I'm thinking when we did 790 Watertown Street, that was permeable pavers. When we did 8 Central Ave, that was permeable pavers. It's been a very common theme this term on this committee. This is just a couple hundred square feet, is that right?
That.
Of dirt and gravel, your words, not mine. And, you provided quotes and you provided, financial information, numbers. This committee doesn't usually deal with numbers like that and costs like that. It's usually what is the best use of the land. That is, essentially what we are doing here. It's clear that the 17,000 is a significant number for a small portion of land. That is a real number. If you were tearing down your home, which you aren't, and you were building a new home, we would require it, full stop. This is a small patch of land. We received some letters of support from some of your neighbors, so I am okay with the amendment of striking that clause. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Farrell. Councillor Lucas, Councillor Farrell next.
I can see why you'd be confused.
Yeah, you look so similar. So similar, very tall.
Thank you, Chair. For my own enlightenment, and perhaps you can help us in your professional capacity, when we say permeable pavers, are we saying we want a permeable surface, or that we want these things that are like paving stones? Are there surfaces that are permeable that are not stone-like? Does anyone know the answer to that question?
There are such things, and I think that if we use the term permeable pavers, that's a little specific and misleading, I would say. I don't think we have ever required impervious pavers, but pervious paving, which can be, there are many different ways of doing that. Pavers tend to be rectangular, square, octagonal shaped blocks that are often made out of concrete or cobblestone or bricks or other things. The reason they're pervious isn't necessarily because of their material, it's because the joints in between them and how they're set in sand or stone dust allows the water to go through them to what's below. That's what makes them pervious. Sometimes they're made out of a material that is pervious and you can hold it up and dump water on top and see it go out the bottom. There's that kind of pervious paving also. Which is why I say, I think it's probably an incorrectly stated fact that pervious paving isn't really pervious. It depends on what it is and how it's constructed and how it's installed. So
But there are other surfaces. I mean, are there other surfaces
yes,
that are not square stones or whatever that allow the water to go through?
yes, there's pervious asphalt.
May I ask through you, the owner, were you under did you understand that there are other permeable surfaces that you could have looked at? Or were you under the implication, the understanding that you had to look at these paving stones?
So we were under the impression that we had to get, according to the permit, that was the way that the permit was granted, that we had to obtain permeable pavers. And that's where the quote came for these permeable pavers that were $17,000.
I do not want you to have gone forever. Let me ask you one more question. Is the remainder of your driveway already resurfaced, the original part?
No, we would be surfacing everything with asphalt.
Is it reasonable to ask for a hold on this to allow the owner to, as soon as possible, check out alternative permeable surfaces that the entire driveway could be done in? And I'm not trying to hold this up.
He
for
can
you.
do that if we deny the permit too. We don't have to hold it. I'm very.
Okay, whatever the best way is,
Unless we decide to do that.
whatever the
That is
best.
an option. I think it would be helpful if we were to look at the wording of that previous council order that led you to believe you had to choose rectangularly shaped pavers. I don't remember our minutes, our report now doesn't list who says what comment, so I don't know who made that recommendation from this committee last time. There are 4 members of this committee or 5 who regularly make that recommendation. That comes out, as Councillor Lucas said, very often we talk about requesting pervious surface because we're concerned about stormwater and runoff and environmental sustainability. That's not an unusual thing at all. I don't remember who suggested it. If any of the people here remember that they may have suggested it on this petition, they can speak to that. Ms. Wewell, in the meantime, could you pull up the previous council order? If you have that handy for 360-20.
Yeah.
We can see the wording of that led this homeowner to believe he had a very narrow choice of materials to choose from?
Yeah, so I did cut that specific condition and put it in the slide here. So hopefully it's legible, and I'm calling out 2B. So this
favor 2.
required that they submit a revised plot plan to show the area of construction to be permeable pavers. So the committee was specific in that
It does say
regard.
pavers. It doesn't say paving. It does say pavers. Yes, Counselor Lobovitz. Sorry, we're not done with Counselor Farrell, apparently. I'll come to you next time, but I thought you were all set.
Thank you for all this conversation, but in this instance, is it possible, number one, for us to say in the future, never use the term permeable pavers, but to use the term of permeable surface? And what is the easiest and fastest way to allow this homeowner to check out alternative permeable options? I'm sorry, I'll take my blustery voice farther away, but to check out some, and as soon as possible, check out other surfaces. It's a question to you, Chair.
I'm not the one to probably answer that officially. I would be very happy to allow this homeowner to look into other permeable surfaces to fulfill this requirement and not to be conditioned on using pavers personally. We'll hear from the law department and planning on whether they think that is permissible, in which case we may need to do a bigger change here. But Counselor Lobovitz.
I had one more question, and maybe we shouldn't even be, I know that we generally don't consider the financial aspects of a project, and I would hate to create a precedent on that. But, you know, under certain circumstances, we make exceptions to pretty much almost every rule, not every rule. Is there anybody who has knowledge about the cost of these types of things? Is an alternative permeable surface likely to be less costly than pavers? Does anybody have any knowledge about that? Thank you.
I think that we shouldn't venture into that realm because it really depends on the material and the square footage and what they choose. But I will say that I think $17,000 sounds like a high price for a driveway of some kind of a permeable surface of this size. Just my personal and professional opinion, not speaking for the city council. I would get some other estimates on that and some other materials.
Thank you, Chair. The reason, I just want to follow up, the reason that I asked is that if there's a fair degree of certainty that the cost would be the same, you know, I think that would push me in a different direction. So right now, I'm sorry?
I was letting Counselor Farrell know that I've seen his hand up.
Oh, so right now I would support, you know, sustaining, well, how would we do this to allow the petitioner to look into other possibilities? What would be the procedure on that, Chair?
I think I would like to ask planning and or the law department about that, like within the wording of the special permit we have in place. Could this be allowable, or do we need to change things? And I'll ask you, sir, would you rather have this be held up for another number of weeks?
Honestly, no, we would be very grateful if we could move on. And, you know, again, this is something that I understand the debate of the pavers. But, you know, the reality is that this is something that's been holding us up for many, many months, if not since last year. And we really would like to, you know, do the service of actually making the area more beautiful actually for the area and the sidewalk. We've actually heard from our neighbors that, you know, we are planning on also taking care of the sidewalk as well, which would also make it safe for our neighbors that walk their dogs and elderly people that are walking their dogs in the area. So we would appreciate if we could, you know, potentially have the approval as we theoretically are still remaining within the pervious space.
While you're on that topic, can I just ask you what has taken so long? Like, it was my understanding at the time, and I'll give you my perspective on this quickly while I'm speaking. I was not in favor of this. I don't like parking this far into the front setback at all. I didn't like this plan. What made it doable for me was what appeared to me the agreement to do it in a permeable surface. I thought, okay, there's a trade-off. We're giving them some things they want. They're doing some things that are a benefit to the community. What has held this up from 2024 to now? Are you saying getting those two cost estimates has taken a year?
No, but in terms of getting to pay for, you know, a $24,000 project is not a small amount. So it takes time to create the funds to be able to pay for this amount.
As Councillor Lobovitz said, people's financial ability to do what they're asking us to do is not a consideration that we usually look into. I understand why that's a very important decision for your household. I see you, Councillor Farrell. You don't need to raise your hand again. I'll call on you next. I've seen it 3 times now. I gotcha. So I understand that it's a consideration within family budgets, and it's totally fair for you to make that decision. I think calling it a financial hardship is not something that we would typically consider, and that was part of your plea. Councillor Farrell.
Just quickly, with all due respect to my colleague from Ward 6, whom I'm very reluctant to challenge, this is an issue of finance. This is why it was brought to us. A cost issue, as I can understand. Secondly, we are offering a chance, it seems to me, if the planning and legal department say it's possible, to say to the homeowner, go check out some alternatives. Don't do it in the papers. See if you can get it done for less cost. And I understand that that is adding some time to your project, but we're trying to accommodate your requests to make it less expensive and also to make it a permeable surface. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Farrell. Just for there are other types of pavers too. There are beautiful, expensive Belgian block pavers. There are concrete pavers. There are asphalt pavers. There are recycled material pavers. There are poured permeable surfaces. There is a pretty much a wide range you could look at. I don't want to add more weeks onto your search, but I think if you only looked at asphalt or whatever the $17,000 paver option is, you were limiting yourselves unnecessarily. Councillor Lobovitz, and then we're going to move on, and I will stop talking too.
What's sort of holding me up is the wording of the order. We could look at that literally and then be perhaps more sympathetic to the cost issue, which typically I wouldn't even raise, but in this case, since it came up, I'm sympathetic to that. But we also could look at it in terms of the intent of the order, which I think we might all agree, maybe we won't, that the intent was to create a pervious surface and not pervious pavers. So I would support, if it's possible, the intent of Councillor Farrell to allow the petitioner a little bit of time to look into alternatives. Thank you.
Let's see if we need to do that. Mr. Temple, could you weigh in on this question of the terminology of whether we need to hold this owner to permeable pavers, or whether that could be reinterpreted as permeable surface or permeable paving, or whether this amendment needs to be changed to eliminate the term paving to something else? And then I will also ask the petitioner if that's something he would be amenable to. I'll say, sir, I thought at the time that you were amenable to the change that was made in 2024, that you accepted doing permeable pavers. So tonight I would like to ask you again, would you accept whatever alternatives we may come up with tonight? You don't need to answer it yet. I'd like to hear back from Mr. Temple about the terminology that has already been listed in the condition in that previous board council order.
Yes, Chair. So the language in the original order is permeable pavers. I think if this petitioner had come to planning and inspectional services and said they were planning to do some other permeable surface, that probably would have been handled through a consistency ruling and never come back here. Now that we're here, we might as well formally change the language to a permeable material or permeable surface, just so everyone's on the same page, if that's what the committee wants to do. But I'm not sure I understand this other concept of giving them time to look into things. that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I think this committee should just decide, keep the condition, get rid of it, or change it to permeable surface.
Thank you, Mr. Temple. I agree, and I think the petitioner is not looking for more time either.
Correct.
He's not. He doesn't want to do that either. If this is approved or denied or wording changes, they will proceed accordingly. Yeah, I wish that that had come back sooner. As Mr. Temple said, if you had realized this was a problem, could have perhaps talked to planning or ISD and just had a consistency ruling on it, which would have been really easy. But while we're here, we can just change the terminology, if you're willing to do that, to surface or paving instead of pavers, to give you a greater range of options that you can consider.
We would consider that if with this, we would be appreciative of having a wider range of options. And again, I'm just going by the city's definition of pervious versus impervious that we receive, and it is in one of the emails from actually the gentleman from John Lovett, who actually mentioned that for the definitions for the town of Newton, having a pervious paver really does not change in terms of our pervious space.
So we're going to get rid of the term paver.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, perhaps Mr. Temple, you can weigh in with me on this. If instead of the amendment to remove, I think it would be amend to change the terminology of that condition and to take out the word paver and use surface or material. And that could be the nature of the amendment tonight, just clarifying the language to give you a much broader range of options. Mr. Temple, would that be okay with you and with planning?
Yes, that's fine by me. I guess I would caution everyone. I'm not necessarily hearing from the petitioner that this is going to solve their problem. I think their issue is with the word permeable, not with the word pavers, but maybe planning can chime in on that.
So your choice is to see whether we vote to get rid of permeable, yes or no, up or down, or give you the option of looking at other permeable materials as the way of amending this previous condition. Do you not want to do anything permeable? Is that the nature of the complaint?
Well, so we would, our objective would be to use asphalt, which again, according to the regulations in the city of Newton, would still be considered the same as the permeable pavers. So
yeah, and maybe not in this committee. Why don't I do a quick little straw vote? I would just like to get a feel for this committee. Would this committee vote in favor of this petitioner putting in an asphalt driveway? Raise your hand if yes. 2. Asphalt. No, it will not pass. So the choice is to have us vote down your request or to alter the terminology of it to give you a wider range of choices.
So I'd be grateful if we could alter the terminology.
I think that was a wise decision. You don't want it to go down. Councilor Block, let's move on.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to modify the word paver and replace it with surface.
Thank you, but let's ask Councilor Lobovitz if he would like to do that.
Sorry.
Councilor Lobovitz, would you like to make that motion? It's your ward.
I would like to make the motion that Councillor Block just stated. Thank you.
We're doing that, everyone, just because we like to let the councilor from the ward in which the project is in make the motions, because they're the ones who live there and represent their constituents the most. Okay, you've made that motion. Would you like to motion to close the public hearing also?
I move to close the public hearing.
Great, let's vote on that one first. All in favor of closing the public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Planning, could you put up some changed wording to just change paver requirement to whichever you think is appropriate, material or surface?
Yeah, so I do have a draft.
Even.
All right, well, I do have a draft order here. I think the findings will need some work because we considered the request to asphalt. So I can adjust those before the Monday meeting. And I did add these 2B back into the draft order. And I was just taking direction from the conversation I heard tonight and did permeable surface. So
I don't
Is
think
that-
it needs to say paved either, because honestly, it could be granite.
Well, I think
or
the
gravel.
specifics, I'm sorry, I think the specific site plan in condition 1 does call out the material as asphalt. So I think that was just a callback to that condition.
I would recommend writing it a little more broad than that.
Okay.
I think we could conditionally approve this tonight and let you work on the wording
Yeah.
within the departments between planning and law,
I-
so that before we vote on this as a full council, we'll have it. I don't think we need to spend any more committee time wordsmithing it. I think we all are on the same page about the intention of it, and I appreciate your input on it. Was somebody speaking?
So what do we say? Approve subject to second call?
Yes.
Is that how we would do that? So I move to approve its subject to second call. Thank you.
Okay, well, we've seen the conditions. It's going to be changed. Motion is to approve subject to second call. Let's vote.
Counselor Block,
Aye.
Counselor Downs, Counselor Farrell,
Aye.
Counselor Kelly,
Aye.
Counselor Leary,
Aye.
Counselor Lobovitz,
Aye.
Counselor Lucas,
No.
President Laredo. The motion passes 5-1.
1 second, Mr. Block. I just want to mention to you that your neighbor and across the street neighbor and fellows to us, City Councilor Vicky Denberg, did do a really good job reaching out to us all and advocating on your behalf for this. Just to give her credit, she's not here, she's not on the committee, but I want to let you know that she was working on your behalf over this. Councilor Block.
I think this discussion points toward our need to have some analysis of permeable surfaces, what that definition is in our ordinances, just to inform us when this issue comes up, because it does come up on a regular basis, and it's always seemed a relatively non-controversial request, but maybe there's more to it than we've thought about. So that's just a suggestion that I guess the planning department might undertake.
I think that's a really good idea, actually, especially given that this petitioner was given a definition by someone in one department of the city that seemed to define permeable, which we should all be aware of too, if we're going by that. So maybe when we get past this fall season of craziness and meetings of 9 and 10 agenda items, we will work on that and planning too. But thank you for the suggestion, and thank you, sir, and good luck. Okay, it's 8 o'clock. Now we only have 6 or 7 more items. The next one is number 262-25, a request to extend the non-conforming front setback at 22 Jerome Ave. I believe that is Katie Wewell again for planning.
Yep. Let me share my screen once again. Thank you. Okay, so we have petition 262-25 for 22 Jerome Avenue. This is a petition to allow a deck which further extends a non-conforming front setback. When reviewing the request, the council should consider whether the proposed extension of the non-conforming setback is substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming structure is to the neighborhood. So the relief required, again, is to further extend a non-conforming front setback. And just to give some context of this site, you can, it's pretty unique in that it actually has 3 fronts, 2 due to the corner on Jerome and Clark, and then it also has frontage on Clark. So the petitioners are seeking to construct a deck that has a setback of 12 feet from this frontage here on Clark Road. And the existing dwelling has a non-conforming setback of 11.6 feet. So it's not worsening the condition. However, it does require relief to sort of extend that to the rear. So that is all we have. We're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. This, I hardly dare say this, I think is one of the more clear-cut projects before us tonight. Is there someone for the petitioner who would like to speak? No one in this room? Is there someone online? Is that? Oh, Sandri, I forgot. We're going to go to you first, or not? Your hand is up. Sandria Berman, do you mean to have? Oh, okay.
I apologize. I
Yep,
don't believe
that's
my hand is raised, but
No,
if
it
it
was
shows
just,
up on.
yep, sorry, my mistake.
okay. No worries.
Nobody online who would like to speak to this?
Madam Chair, I'd just say that you can see
Okay.
on the screen, my clients, Karen and Michael Goldman, are here. I would simply advise them to basically, the planning department has basically given a comprehensive analysis of the situation, and it looks to be essentially a no-brainer.
Your clients are here, but they're not going to speak, but you're all available in case there are questions. Is that what you're saying?
That is correct. That is
Great.
correct.
Oh, I see, Michael Goldman. You must be the owner. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And there is no public comment. I don't believe we've received any letters. I don't remember getting any on this, and this is my ward. But let's take it into committee and see what other land use committee members have to say about it. Any comments or questions from the committee? Councillor Lucas.
This is a bit of a shocker, but I agree with Attorney Morse. So when ready, I will move to close the public hearing and move for approval.
Thank you, sir. That's what I would do if I could do it too. I do think this is clear. I looked at it. Very de minimis impact. Totally fine with me as the ward counselor for here. So thank you for making that motion. Did you also move to close the public hearing? Let's vote on that one first. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Council findings and conditions?
Yes, thank you. So we have one finding here around the nonconformity. Sorry, I just lost the screen. So the deck setback is more conforming than the dwelling's non-conforming setback, I think by 1/2 foot. The site also has 3 front setbacks, which further constrain the lot with conforming locations to site a proposed deck. Standard conditions, building plan referencing, building permit, and then occupancy. So it's pretty straightforward.
Great. I think we can vote on it. See, it was going to be quick.
Counselor Block,
Aye.
Counselor Downs, Counselor Farrell,
Aye.
Counselor Kelly,
Aye.
Counselor Leary,
Aye.
Counselor Lobovitz,
Aye.
Counselor Lucas,
Aye.
President Laredo. The motion passes 6-0.
Yay.
Thank you.
Good luck to the Goldmans, and thank you for having a quick item for us tonight. The next one is number 260-25, a request to allow a retaining wall exceeding 4 feet in height. What we do need to do is open the public hearing on this tonight. We're not going to hear this tonight because we need to give the applicant time to contact the neighbors and host a neighborhood meeting that, to the best of my knowledge, has not happened yet. And that is something we like to see happen before we take it up. So public hearing is open. It will be postponed to a different date. We're not going to spend any more time on it tonight. We'll see it again. And I hope if the owner, contractor, petitioner is here, that he or she or they will please start getting in touch with the neighbors, particularly the abutters, and have a neighborhood meeting and get some input from people about their thoughts on the project. I understand that the project is substantially complete and built, but there's still the issue of the retaining wall in the back, which is why you're here, which is an important thing for everybody to think about and to weigh in on. So please do that, and we'll see you back here on another date. Councillor Lucas.
Thank you, Chair. Just a point of order, I think. I just want to be sure that we take a vote to hold this. And I just want to be absolutely clear, the public has a chance to comment tonight.
Sure, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Is there anybody in the chamber or online who was planning to speak to this tonight? Because we would be happy to hear from you, even though it might be more interesting to hear from you after a neighborhood meeting is held. Councillor Leary.
Just for the committee's information, Chair and I did do a site visit. I have been in touch with the developer. I have explained what's been going on. There's a survey issue as well. So we'll be working with him for the next time he comes before us.
And I see he has raised his hand on Zoom. Nico. Go ahead.
So I don't know why my video isn't working. But I hear what everyone's saying. I am a little confused. My understanding is that meeting with the neighbors is strongly encouraged, not necessarily a prerequisite or a requirement to be heard. You know, that being said, I did in fact have a conversation, you know, with our abutter directly behind us, whose only concern is what would potentially be a property line dispute, which personally I believe should not be a consideration for whether or not the retaining wall is merited in this situation or not, for two reasons. Number one is he has no issue with the height of the wall itself, very specifically, based on my conversation with him and his wife, just the location or placement. And so the reason I think that's important is because it's my understanding that the city itself does not get into property line disputes. And if I was to construct this retaining wall on what I believe to be as my property and he had a problem with that, it would have to be handled sort of outside of the purview of, you know, whether or not the wall was merited.
That is correct. That is not an issue for us. Your abutting neighbor, or you could take the other to land court later, and that's not something we get involved with. But it is the desire of this committee that development projects do notify the neighbors and do offer to hold a neighborhood meeting, and that did not happen in this case, which is why we're going to wait and give you the opportunity to do that. And we're not going to discuss it more tonight. So we're all set on this tonight, Nico, unless there's something else of substance that you need to add to it. But you'll be back to do that next time.
Okay, then I will wait till next time.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Leary.
Just very briefly, this originally was a by right project. And then it turned out they were having a retaining wall higher than 4 feet. So
right,
maybe that is what Nico's is talking about in terms of.
Yeah. The issue isn't around the by right 2-family project. The issue was around this special permit to allow for a retaining wall of higher than 4 feet in the rear.
Right.
That's still a special permit that was not, that neighbors were not contacted on.
That is true, but I think that's maybe why there was some confusion around that.
Okay.
Is that originally was not going to be a retaining wall higher than 4 feet.
Right, but since they realized it, well, in any case, we're going to give you the chance, Nico, to reach out to your neighbors, host a meeting, hopefully get back here very quickly. Somebody made a motion, which was what? Motion to hold. Do we need
To hold.
Now that I guess we've discussed it a little bit, so we do need a motion to hold. Yes, Councillor Leary.
I will make a motion to hold.
I think we can do a voice vote on that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Sorry, Nico, it's held. We'll see you again, hopefully very soon. The next item cranking through, it is 8:15, is 263-25, a request to allow parking in the front setback at 53 Mossman Street. I think this is Ms. Kemet's project in planning.
That's correct. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll share my screen now.
Thank you.
So this is Kat Kemet again from the Planning Department. This is petition 263-25 for 53 Mossman Street. This is a special permit request to allow parking in the front setback. The site consists of a 7,888 square foot lot, which is improved with a single family dwelling. The area is largely residential in character with mostly single family homes. The surrounding lots that abut the property are all zoned SR3, that's single residence 3, with some multi-residence 2 zoning a bit further to the north. The petitioner is proposing to widen the existing driveway on the site to accommodate a second parking stall. The existing curb cut will remain as is, but the rear of the driveway closer to the building will be widened by 220 square feet to create room for 2 cars to park side by side. The stalls will be dimensionally compliant at 9 by 19 feet and will be set back at least 5 feet from the street. So the only relief they need is to have 2 parking stalls partially within the front setback because only 1 is allowed by right. When reviewing this request, the council should consider the 4 standard conditions we have for special permits and the criteria for parking, which is literal compliance with the allowed number of parking stalls within the front setback is impracticable due to the nature of the use, or that an exception would be in the public interest or in the interest of environmental features. And that concludes the planning presentation for this.
Thank you, Ms. Kemet. Are the owners here who would like to speak to
Yeah,
this
we're he-
project?
we're
I do
here.
I see you there. That
On
is-
video. Hi, guys.
Oh, both of you, Chris and Wendy Vitor.
We rallied. Yep. And thanks, Kat, for teeing that up. That was great. That was way more concise than anything that I could say on screen
You
here.
can tell us now concisely why you want to do this.
Sure. Well, we did an addition to our house about 1.5 years ago, and that was great. There was a small, kind of modest addition that all went wonderfully. The driveway itself that we've had for the last 10 years really only accommodates about 1.5 parking spots. So our second car is always kind of hung into the over almost like very, very close to the sidewalk. And so we wanted to widen it slightly, and instead of just widening it to the where the curb cuts are, which would really allow us to like not step into the snow when we open our car door in the dead of winter. We actually, the engineering drawing tapers it up closer to the mudroom, which that's not a garage. We don't have a garage. It's just a mudroom structure on the left side of the house. So essentially, it'll give us 2 side-by-side parking spots, which would be incredible. And I think we looked at several different possibilities for layouts, and this was the best one we could come up with, and thought it would be most acceptable to the neighborhood. So that's all I've got.
Thank you very much. Hang around just in case there are any questions for you.
Yeah.
We also have not received letters that I remember, that I can recall about this project. Are there any members of the public, nobody in the chamber, anyone online who would like to speak to this? Yes. Sherry Cohen.
Hi, I'm Chris and Wendy's next door neighbor. My wife and I, Ann, we've been here for just a few years shy of 40 years. We are in favor of this. We think it will be a tremendous idea. Our concern was, would it be close to our property, and it won't be. We hope you pass it because it will give a lot of relief to the entire neighborhood to allow them to park side by side, not just them, but all of us. So we're in favor of it. And I don't want to say I speak for the neighborhood. We're a close-knit neighborhood. I think everybody would like to see this happen. Chris and Wendy are terrific members of our neighborhood, so we're happy. We hope you say yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cohen. Members of the Land Use Committee? Questions, comments? Councilor Labovitz?
So I was just curious from planning, where in the description of why we would allow this exception to be made, what is the wording that would support that request in this particular case? I don't want to be too nitpicky, but I think we should try to be compliant with the guidelines that are provided. Thank you.
Ms. Kemet, would you like to answer Councilor Labovitz's question?
I guess just to guide my understanding, are you looking to look at the findings for this?
Well, the justification in the wording that would support this request.
Why do we allow waivers of parking in the front setback?
Yes, yeah, could say that. Okay.
which we.
Let's
have referred to of our-
start with that to see if you can find the wording that would support this.
If you want, well, are you ready to pull that up? Because I could just say something about it in the meantime while you're looking for your wording, or I'll wait. I'm happy to wait.
I mean, I would probably point to the findings, which has some wording to support why this may or may not be appropriate, and then the council can certainly make
Can you-
suggestions to change that wording.
Can you just read the words and the findings that you think would support this? Thank you.
Yeah, I'll pull that up now. So the findings, which would support finding that a special permit for this request would be appropriate, that I have drafted, that we can certainly change, is 1, the site is an appropriate location for the second parking stall within the front setback because the parking configuration maintains the existing curb cut. 2, the additional parking stall within the front setback will not adversely affect the neighborhood because the stalls are set back 5 feet from the street and will maintain adequate sight lines. 3, there will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians, and the curb cut and driveway location will be similar to the existing conditions. Access to the site over streets is appropriate for the types and numbers of vehicles involved. And literal compliance with the requirement that only 1 parking stall may be located in a front setback is impracticable because the location of the dwelling on the lot constrains alternative compliant options for parking.
Thank you. Chair, did you have anything to add to that?
Well, so this is my ward, and I went by this house today, though I already know of it. And Chris and Wendy, I'd love to come see the renovation sometime. It is in a small, very tight-knit neighborhood, mainly of ranch-style houses. They are almost second to last at the end of a cul-de-sac. So one of the reasons I tend to not like parking in the front setback is when it does get too close to the sidewalk and there's a concern over backing into pedestrians or bicyclists. There's almost no movement or traffic at this end of the street. And I went by there today and went, oh, it's dead down here in this dead end. Their configuration I found interestingly unique in that they're keeping the existing curb cut, which is a pretty narrow driveway, and then they're just flaring, aproning out up close to, as Chris said, a mudroom, which I originally in plan view thought was a garage. They're just adding 220 total square feet to the sides of that to be able to pull their cars up. They're nowhere near 5 feet from the sidewalk. Actually, they're much closer to the house. So for me, it looked like a very simple, clean, easy solution that is not going to impair public safety in terms of vehicular or pedestrian conflict at all. So as a Ward 3 councillor, I would be in favor of this. It doesn't hit any of the marks that usually cause me not to want to allow parking in a front setback. And the neighborhood, I would say 50% of the houses in this neighborhood all have this kind of a condition.
Thank you for-
Everybody's parking in their front yard.
Thank you for that explanation, and I will be voting in favor. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's my word, so you can even make the motion later. Councillor Farrell had his hand up first.
Thank you, Chair. Just out of curiosity, what is the exact width of the existing driveway?
Vitors, do you have a plan or planning that shows the dimensions of the width of that driveway?
Yeah, I can screen share real quick if that's all right.
And if it's visible. It's
Yeah,
looks standard, but
it's-
almost like
yeah.
narrowly standard to me when I was there
It's-
today.
Yeah, it is narrow.
Oops, sorry. There we go. Apologies. Can you
Make it
guys see
bigger.
that all right?
Slide up so we can see a dimension number on that driveway.
I see the dimensions of the proposed driveway. I'm asking what the width is of the existing driveway.
That's what I'm looking for, the dimension of
From
the
here to
driveway
here.
by the curb. I'm looking for that. I don't see it noted on here.
Yeah, that dimension was not provided to us.
It might be like 10 feet or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I didn't measure it.
Sorry,
Doesn't look 12.
maybe 9 feet.
No.
Yeah.
Could be 9 or
When
10.
When we get out of
can
the
attest to
car,
it.
yeah, when
Let me
we
just
get
say
out of
that.
the car in the dead of winter, we're literally getting out into the snow.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but let me just say, I'm trying to understand how much you're adding to the existing surface, whether you are doubling it or less
No.
than.
No, we were adding that 200, the
It's
square
going to
footage.
18 feet, which means it is what we require for a parking space, right? 9 feet?
Yep.
So I'm just asking whether the additional space is another 9 feet or whether it's 8 feet or 7 feet. Just curious.
It's not dimension, but it looks like it might be like a 9-foot depth by a foot wide times 2. And it's a total of 220 square feet more paving than the existing driveway right now, which is.
Appears we don't have the answer to the question, so I'm willing to concede it.
We
Thank
don't
you.
have the dimensions. Sorry to say that, but I'm just telling you what I saw when I went there today and what looks like on plan. That plan had some dimensions. It's the little strips to the right that they're adding, which do we know?
So right
Total
here,
220 square feet.
right here is the
Existing.
and then it's tapering out here. So we're adding essentially this section.
Thank you. I do understand that. Thank you.
Okay.
We get it. It's just
Sorry.
dimensions of the question aren't reflected in the plan.
Okay.
Anything else, Councillor Farrell? Councillor Lucas?
Thank you, Chair. To answer Councilor Lobovitz questions, why they are requesting to park in the front setback, it's because of the nature of the site. It's a small lot and the position of the existing home is closer to the front of the lot, to the front of the street, than probably what they would like to in order to install more than one parking stall. That's why. But yeah, this is like with the last petition for that deck, it's a no-brainer, so I'll vote in favor. Thank you.
Anyone else? We need a motion. Did you want to make it, Councillor Love? If it's just for,
Are we closing the public hearing, or
we would like to, yeah.
I move to close the public hearing?
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous.
I move to approve the petitioner's request.
Thank you.
Application. Thank you.
Let's look at the findings and conditions. Finding and condition. I think you said singular.
So we already took a look at the findings, so I'll go right to the conditions. So for our conditions, we have our standard referencing condition with the site plan, our standard building conditions, and occupancy conditions, where planning will review the as-built plans and make sure that we have a statement of compliance from a surveyor or architect. And that concludes the conditions.
Thank you. I think we can vote on it.
Counselor Block,
Aye.
Counselor Downs, Counselor Farrell,
Yep.
Counselor Kelly,
Aye.
Counselor Leary,
Aye.
Counselor Lobovitz,
Aye.
Counselor Lucas,
Aye.
President Laredo. The motion passes 6-0.
Good luck, Vitors.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Have a great night. And thanks, Kat, for your work on that too. Good night.
Great. The next one, boy, I'm impressed we're moving along pretty well now. Number 261-25, a request to allow parking in the front setback, another one, at 4749 Ripley Street. Sandria,
Good
I think this
evening.
one's yours. Yes, thanks. Go ahead.
You are correct. Sure. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And let me just find that planning presentation for us. Okay. Sorry, I'm just going to go ahead and move this down. Apologies. And there we go. All right. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Good evening, Sandria Berman. I'm the planning associate for the City of Newton. This is a presentation for petition 261-25 for 4749 Ripley Street. And it's a request for special permit site plan approval after the fact to create a parking area on the side of the existing driveway at 47 Ripley Street to accommodate 2 parking stalls in the front setback. As you'll see here from the aerial map, the subject property is located in a multi-residence 1 district within the Village Center Overlay 2 zone. It's just south of Newton Center to the north. The property is currently improved with a 2-family dwelling that was constructed in 2023. Abutting properties are within the MR1 district consist of residential uses of similar lot sizes, improved with single and 2-family dwellings. And the surrounding neighborhood includes single residence 3 districts to the south, multi-residence 1, and single residence 2 to the east. And surrounding properties within these districts are improved with primarily single and 2-family dwellings. The zoning relief, the petition, the reason why this petition is before you is because there was a request for a zoning enforcement issued by the Inspectional Services Department on August 9th. The petitioner is seeking to gain compliance by requesting the special permit to allow the parking area on the side of the existing driveway at 47 Ripley Street to accommodate the additional 2 parking stalls in the front setback. And criteria to consider when reviewing the request, that the specific site is an appropriate location for the proposed 2 additional parking stalls in the front setback as designed, that the proposed 2 additional parking stalls in the front setback as developed and operated will not adversely affect the neighborhood, that there will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians created by the proposed 2 additional parking stalls in the front setback as designed, that access to the site and the streets is appropriate for the types and numbers of vehicles involved with the creation of 2 additional parking stalls in the front setback as designed, and finally, that literal compliance with the maximum number of surface parking stalls is impractical due to the nature of the use or the location, size, width, depth, shape, or grade of the lot, or that such exceptions would be within the public interest or in the interest of safety or the protection of the environment. For our analysis, planning notes that the petition is the result of a request for zoning enforcement from ISD, that the petitioner is seeking to bring their property into compliance by seeking this special permit and for the proposed 18.4-foot parking area, which is approximately 335 square feet, that does accommodate 2 parking stalls. We also note that the size of the lot coupled with the 2 family dwellings placement on the lot precludes alternative options for additional parking at the rear of the lot. The topography of the lot includes a sloped driveway, and the proposed 18.4-foot parking area adjacent to the driveway creates a more level parking area. And the proposed 18.4-foot parking area does not pose a serious hazard or obstacles to the pedestrians or vehicular access to the site, as the location of the proposed parking area is outside of the right-of-way. That concludes our presentation, Madam Chair. I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen, but happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Sandria. I might ask for you to put like the image showing the site plan or the parking back up at another time, but right now I'll ask if the owners would like to speak on behalf of this project, or if they have a picture of a site plan so we can be looking at the layout of these parking spots. Is there somebody here in the audience representing the owners who would like to speak on this project?
Yes.
Oh, there you are.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, just give us your name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Daniel Ustayev. I'm here with my wife Rita Ustayev, and we live at 47 Ripley Street in Newton. And we've been here for about a year now. And do you want me to pull up the site plan, or do you want me to kind of
That would be great. I think that would be very helpful so we could all see it when just the words of it sound a little confusing in terms of the grade.
See my screen here?
Thank you. Perfect.
Okay, great. So basically, we're proposing a parking stall on the right side of our property, as you see here. Right now, our driveway is extremely steep and sloped and pretty dangerous. I think there's a 6-foot difference between the front of our house to the bottom of the driveway. So we spent the first winter last year here, and it was just a disaster. Getting out of the car, getting into the car, with slipping on black ice, or our car even had trouble going up on one of the storms. So we have this space here that was initially like a landscape. I guess it was seeded with some grass that didn't really grow, and we put some pavers in there, and thinking that we could park there, but we had no idea that we couldn't. So we had zoning enforcement come and tell us that we should bring this into compliance. So we're here before you guys, hoping that you give us the chance to park on this right side of our space. And though it does seem that it is big enough for 2 cars for sure, but the radius of our driveway, it's almost impossible to fit 2 cars without safely backing out or without hitting like that retaining wall up here or these trees. It's just, I mean, unless you have a really small, compact, smart car, maybe, but This area is very tight to back up and safely get out with a car also parked here. So we're just proposing this one stall or one parking space in this area that I think is 18.4 by
19.6, I think,
yeah.
up there. Yeah.
And it is it's about 6 feet away from the curb line. We don't have a sidewalk on our side of the street. It's just a grassy area, so nobody really walks on our side of the street. Everyone walks on the opposite side, and we have a picture if you'd like. Let me pull up a picture as well.
So we can.
So this, yeah, so this is the grassy area that we have with the curb over here. And this is that proposed place to safely park our car, be able to get out safely, you know, and it has direct access to our staircase over here. This is a direct shot of our driveway. As you can see, it's extremely sloped downwards.
And it is quite dangerous for we've both fallen in this past winter, and it's dangerous to unload groceries and get kids out of the car and for our elderly parents to visit. So we just want a safe space to be able to park.
Yeah, my parents won't even come over in the winter anymore because of this sloped driveway. They're just too afraid to slip on ice. And we do salt it. You know, salt only helps so much. But yeah, that's our presentation. We hope you guys can approve it. It's I guess fairly simple, but
Hopefully. And for us, it's a matter of safety.
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
There may be some questions, so we're glad you're available to stick around. We will go to members of the public. Mary Lee Belleville, you have a question or comment?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Mary Lee Belleville, 136 Warren Street. I had actually flagged this to the city council a couple months ago. I strongly oppose approving this request. This was a by right project. Right now, if you look at I am kind of curious because it looks like just the homeowners on the right are seeking the relief, but the homeowners on the left also have already gone in and built an additional parking pad, if you will. Right now, this property, the two together, each have a garage spot and appear to have two tandem spots. So there's 3 parking spots per unit in this location. Yes, it's steep, but it's not that steep. But at the end of the day, the real reason why I think this should not be supported is because we can't have this asking permission later is not the route that we should be going. And so I just, I on the conditions for consideration that the planning department put together, I take exception that they don't stipulate that this also was a compliance issue to start with. So I really think this is a slippery slope, and I would strongly not only oppose for the right-hand unit. I don't know what the status is on the left-hand unit, but they're in this exact same boat. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Belleville. Are there any other members of the public who would like to speak on this petition? And if not, we will see what the committee members have to say about it. Councillor Farrell, and then Lucas, and then Leary.
Thank you, Chair. Quick question. Did you build this yourself, or did you have a contractor come back and build it?
We hired a contractor. Yeah,
You hired a guy. Did the contractor give you any indication that you needed a special permit to do this?
No, nothing, no.
Do you know whether this contractor's ever done any work on Newton before?
Yeah, plenty of Hillcrest development.
Well, then I think no, in my opinion, it would be a good idea to talk to the contractor.
Yeah, we did, and you know, after the fact, there's really not much he can do, so we're kind of stuck
Well,
with.
that's up to you, depending on what we do.
Yeah,
But I'm not in favor of granting this either. Given that you had a contractor, this shouldn't be a question of asking forgiveness, but he should have, or she should have told you that you need to go get a special permit to do it. And if the same condition exists on the other side, which is almost the same, but not quite, then I hope that they will listen to this and come to the same conclusion that they need to do something. But at
The only
moment,
difference is they don't have the space like we do on our side. So I'm not sure what's going on the other side, but you know,
I'm not sure either. I'm just saying if they think they do, and there is a little bit of a paved path that they have placed in there. Now, I don't know whether was originally there or whether they added that on. But I think this is truly a slippery slope of granting permission when a contractor should have known better and should have advised you to do the right thing first.
well, the contractor ended his work. So
We couldn't hear that. Could you say that again, please?
I'm sorry. So the contractor ended his work. We moved in with just like a grassy area that was just seeded with like weeds, and it turned into like weeds. And then we decided, you know, months after, that it's really difficult to park on this extremely steep, you know, hill. You know, I've fallen a couple times. My wife has. You know, we're planning to have a family, and I don't know how to pull out a stroller from a car without, you know, safely getting out of the car. So we decided, you know, we're going to pave this area and park there. And then, you know, we as owners had no idea that this was not allowed. So we're here now, just trying to obviously get it into compliance. We want to.
I appreciate what you're saying, and it does look to be like it's uncomfortable, if not dangerous, when you're doing that, as it is a situation with many people in the city. The point
Yeah.
I'm trying to make is that you didn't build it. You brought a contractor back in to build it.
Yes.
That contractor, in my opinion, should have said to you, we need to get a special permit to do this. And shame on that person for not doing that for you. But I'm not in favor of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Farrell. Councillor Lucas.
Thank you, Chair. I share Councillor Farrell's concern about not being in favor of retroactively approving that paver area on the side. Question to you, sir. Did you receive permission from the Inspectional Services Department to build that?
To put the pavers, it's considered like a front patio, but we just can't park on it, is what they're saying. So we're just seeking, you know, permission to park. We did notice on Ripley also there are other homes that have similar setups down the street. It's older homes, obviously, but you know, we had no idea, so we thought that this would be okay. And you know, there's no real conforming like driveway situation on the street. There are driveways that go up and down and vertical and horizontal. So I have some pictures if you'd like.
No, that's okay. I don't need any pictures. I'm still want to go back.
Yeah.
So you did not receive permission to build this or to install this. You did it on your own, and now you would like to park one car in that space, which is fit for two cars.
Yes, yeah. The retaining walls were part of the plan. Yeah, the pavers were not. That was something I did unknowingly, obviously, months after the contractor was done.
Okay. So let me just tell you where I'm at with this. I'm not in favor of that paver area being 18 by 4 feet by 19 feet. I think those were the dimensions. If you need to park one additional car on your property, then I would recommend building or installing, excuse me, a paver area that fits precisely one car, not two cars. How you design that. I'll leave that up to you and your contractor. But for right now, I do not want to vote for this. And this is where I am stuck on our options here. I don't want to vote in favor of this, what's in front of us right now. I would like to see a smaller, call it patio area. Would that still, to planning, would that still need relief for, to install that area if it was just 19 by 9?
Hi, Counselor Lucas, Sandra Berman. So there's actually only one stall is allowed per unit within the front setback. So if they were seeking an additional stall in the front setback, they would still require relief. It would just be for one stall, not for two.
Okay, so this is where I'm at. I would like to vote for something that is smaller in size, that is ideally 19 by 9. That is the minimum dimensions for a parking stall. And if it's in the front setback, it's in the front setback. I'm fine with that. But I guess we would need to see a new site plan for that. I hope I'm clear on that, Chair. Does that make sense?
It does to me.
Okay, good. I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Counselor Leary.
I'd like to remind the committee that, I don't know if it came before land use, actually. There was almost an exact same situation on Craft Street, except at that point, the builder who had no experience building in Newton had put in a total of 4 parking spaces. It was also a 2-family. And the other part, they had put in gravel. ISD had insisted they put in gravel, but they still parked on top of the gravel. And as I remember, we required some landscaping around that. But I have a sort of a larger discussion. It seems like this is let's park in the setback night. We've had a lot of this. We have a reason for it. I mean, we're going to have the neighborhood appearing like a collection of driveways and parking lots, and it reduces, greenery. It reduces the feel of the neighborhood. It goes against our environmental goals. It's less safe. So do we want to decide that we're going to keep making exceptions to these rules? Anyway, so that's something I'd like to have a larger discussion on, because we're basically saying yes to some people, no to other people. This one is, I understand there's always exceptions to a rule, but it just seems to me that we sort of have to refocus on why we have this the setback rule here. I am a little upset about what's going on with this property. They also have a driveway as well, which you can pull into and protect yourself from the elements and get kids or older people out of the car. So I understand it's more convenient, but I'm not particularly sympathetic to that. So I also would not be able to approve this.
Thank you, Counselor Leary. Counselor Lobovitz.
So just to clarify, is there a garage in front of the driveway?
There is a garage space, yes.
There's a garage.
Each unit, 47, 49, each have a garage space and
I understand.
2, okay. So
Yeah.
yes, there are garages.
We have 2
I
cars,
understand.
so we always have a car in the garage, and the
Right.
second person can't really come out safely. That our main concern is safety. I mean, I understand and I hear what you guys are all saying, but
I didn't finish my question.
oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm just going to let you, Mr. Ustav, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name. We don't generally do a back and forth conversation here. So right now, Counselor Lobovitz has the floor. And if you have something else to say, just raise your hand again and I'll call on you. But let's let him finish his thought.
So is there direct access from the garage to the house?
Yes.
And you're the first owner of this new home?
Yes. Yes.
And you were aware when you bought it that there was a steep driveway?
We were aware, we just really didn't consider the tough winters that can come about. Yeah.
So you
never had a steep
you
driveway.
never lived in this area with snow before?
No, we previously lived in an apartment in Boston, yeah.
Oh, but you're familiar with the problems of snow?
Yes, yeah, no,
My
of
point,
course.
you
We
didn't-
just didn't consider the challenges that this, you know.
Again, I would rather we not have back
I
and
think,
forth
I think you answered my question, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Farrell.
Just clearly, did you ask a contractor to come build this space for you?
Yes, we asked, yes, we did.
And that contractor has worked in Newton before?
Oh, the contractor that installed the pavers, I actually have no idea. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I thought you told me that the contractor had worked here
The
before.
contractor who built the house, yes. Who installed the pavers, I honestly don't know.
So the contractor who built this little space for you, you don't know what their history is?
I don't know what their history is now.
Well,
I mean, I've seen their work. I don't know if it's Newton or not, but yeah.
well, if they're a contractor in Newton, they should have known the rules. That's number one.
Yeah.
I'm not prepared to remove some sort of accommodation till we figure out what's going on here. I couldn't agree more. Well, I could, because I agree with her a great deal, but with Councilor Leary, that we are seeming to do a lot of this sort of parking adjustment, special permits. And given the larger issue of parking in Newton, are we even going to get pressed for more about this? And I think we need to decide as a council what we're going to do in terms of this and make it one of our rules. So again, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Farrell. You implied what I wanted to say, which I've said every time we've discussed parking in the front setback tonight, which is I generally don't think they're a good idea. There are reasons why you have to come for a special permit. In this case, I'm very confused by that patio parking spot you have with the walls that was built by somebody who wasn't maybe the house builder, but you hired to do the paving, but you don't know who that was. And I don't understand what the little retaining walls are for or why it was sized the way it was. I do think that, like Councillor Lucas said, if you wanted to have one, say, perpendicular to the driveway, parallel to Ripley parking spot, I could see doing that, 19 by 9 feet wide, getting rid of that padded walled patio in the front yard, which you actually can't drive on now. If the photo you showed us was accurate, it looks like there's like a little curb from the driveway side leading up to it. That whole space confuses me. If you wanted to find a parking spot there, I could see that, but this is not a parking spot. I think overall, having 6 parking spots for this 2-family, 3 per unit, is well beyond what we usually allow or permit in Newton. I too have a very steep driveway. I think mine is steeper than yours. In fact, I have fallen in it and my husband has fallen in it. And I moved there after I had little kids, so I haven't dealt with the stroller issue. So I understand your desire to have another place to park, but this place that you have created without understanding that there are zoning ordinance at play don't make sense to me. I would vote against this tonight. Also, as it sounds like most of my colleagues would, I would like to figure out if there's a way of giving you something that you want. I don't know if you're willing to give up another spot. I don't blame you for whatever the people at 49 are doing. That's going to be their issue, and maybe we'll see them in here too. I would like to, I see a hand up from the audience too. I'm just letting you know that my inclination would be to vote against this also for all the reasons that have been stated tonight. Any other comments from the committee? We have one more issue that's going to take us a little time. If not, I'm going to go to Mary Lee Belleville. And I see the owner's hand up again, but I don't think that we need to hear from you again, honestly. Like, I don't like the back and forthness of it. It's just not how we conduct ourselves. And I think, unless you have something to say that's really important, I believe we've heard everything you have to say and are considering it. Mary Lee Belleville.
Mary Lee Belleville, 136 Warren Street. And Councillor Kelly, Chair Kelly, I think you just touched on it as well. I mean, this particular 47 Ripley has 3 parking spaces. Yeah, tandem parking spaces are kind of a hassle. I live in a house with tandem parking spaces, but there's a garage spot and there are 2 parking spaces. So I don't really understand the suggestion of maybe an accommodation of building a 4th just car size space to the right of the driveway. I mean, we're talking about 2 blocks from the T station. This is a place where we currently harp on we need less parking. There's already 4 parking spaces here, 3 parking spaces here. I don't think that there should be an accommodation for a 4th to just make the, it seems to me it's kind of making the, well, I'm not going to go there. And anyway, whatever happens here sets a precedent for 49 Ripley. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Belleville. Let me be clear, and perhaps I wasn't. I was not suggesting the addition of a 4th spot. I was saying take out that peculiar walled patio thing and make 1 spot over there that would be just for parking. That might be that and the garage as the 2. Councillor Block, and then we're going to try and wrap this one up.
I'll be brief. I just want to express a little more sympathy for the owners than anybody else has. I have visited this site. It is a steep driveway. I think that if it really was strictly a safety issue and they needed 1 extra space that was more level to avoid falling on the driveway, I think we'd be a little more receptive. And I also understand they're new to Newton and maybe used a contractor who wasn't as helpful as the contractor should have been. So I'm not prepared to vote in favor of this either, but I think there is a way in which a lot of our concerns could be dealt with, and that's all, Chair. Thank you.
Councillor Farrell. And then I'm going to remind you, this is
Thank
your
you, Chair.
3rd time talking.
This is-
And I prefer once per
Just
person.
Very quick. I'm terribly sorry if I don't sound sympathetic to the owners of this building. I am. I tried to suggest that I don't think it's you guys, but a contractor who led you astray and should have known better. And if I were you, I'd talk to the contractor. Thank you.
Let me ask the owners this question. I'm getting a sense that this is not going to go the way you want it to go tonight. We could take a vote and your request and petition may be denied and you're stuck. We could hold it if you would consider holding it and revising it according to the lines that some people, I think Councillor Lucas and Councillor Farrell and I were talking about. Is that something that you would consider, or would you rather we vote on this project up or down tonight?
No, we would consider it. So just to be clear, you guys are asking to cut out part of the pavered area to make it just so that it's fits 1 stall, correct? I did. That's all I wanted to understand.
Yes.
So we would make it like I don't know, a dirt
A parking spot.
and
It would be a
yeah,
yeah.
and a parking spot. Okay. Yeah, if we can hold, yeah, that'd be great, and we can revise the plans and move forward there. That'd be great. Yeah.
Councillor Leary.
I would prefer to have it of pervious material.
I don't know if these owners have been here all evening. We're laughing because this has been a conversation tonight, but that is a good question. If we're going to keep this project on hold in a revised, not to accommodate 2 parking stalls, not with this unnecessarily peculiarly shaped and overly sized walled patio thing. Would you consider doing that in a pervious surface material? Is that something
yeah.
you would think about
My
during the
only
next few
con-
weeks?
My only concern is I would have to rip everything out and just redo
Yes.
everything. So that's a really high cost.
Yep, that
That would be
is
my only concern, but
consideration. I think
um,
you would have to rip that thing out. I think you would.
yeah, so if we could rip out, whatever portion that you guys consider that, just keep the 9-foot wide driveway for one parking stall. And then, use the other part as like a grassy area or something permeable. Would that be okay? Because we are still, I
We'll
think we're
think about
compliance
that.
with the open
We've,
area.
we've got a couple of counselors with their hands up.
Okay.
I hear what you're saying. Counselor Lucas, followed by Counselor Farrell, then we're going to move forward on this.
All right, what I would suggest is ripping up half of it, not the whole thing.
Thank you. Okay.
And it won't be impervious. It won't be pervious. That's to that point, because this is not a pervious material patio. Is that correct, sir?
I don't believe so. No, I don't.
What's
I'm
it
not.
made out of?
I think it's concrete or
Yeah. And
yeah.
did you say you put it in or you had it put in?
No, we had it put in. Yeah, I didn't put it.
So was it set in concrete?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not
No, it
pervious.
wasn't set in concrete. Some kind of sand he used, I
Yeah,
guess?
I think there was
Oh,
like some
that
sort
might
of
be
break.
pervious. All right.
Yeah.
I think we're going to end up holding this tonight. Counselor Farrell, did you have your hand up again?
It did. Just a second. We're not going to design this here tonight.
No, we're not.
What we're saying is that you should get someone who knows his or her business
Yeah.
to
Yes.
fix the mess that you've got so that you have one parking space.
Yes.
Okay, understood.
And that person needs to know the rules of Newton. Thank you.
Yes. That's following up on his very first comment about who you choose to do your work. Counselor Alabovitz, did you have your hand up?
I was going to move to hold. Thank you.
Phew. Let's do that. Counselor Leary, are you coming back? It doesn't matter. We can vote without her. There's a motion on the floor to hold this item. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And Counselor Leary was back. All right, this item is held. You can be in touch with the planning department if you have questions about how to proceed with this.
Okay,
We
thank you.
cannot give you recommendations. It would be inappropriate for who some of those qualified, credible, know the local ordinances, know zoning code things, but you can find those out. Even though you're new here, people will give you good recommendations, and good luck with that.
Thank
Okay, our final item is number 264-25, a request to exceed FAR at 11 Richfield Road. Again, we'll hear first from the planning department. That will be Sandria Berman, and then we'll hear from the petitioners.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen one more time. Bear with me. Thank you. All right. Here we go. All right. So good evening again. This is the planning presentation for petition 264-25 for 11 Richfield Road. And this is a request for a special permit site plan approval to raise an existing single-family dwelling and construct a new larger dwelling that exceeds the maximum FAR. As you'll see here from the aerial map, the subject property is located just off Chestnut Street in West Newton. You'll have Richfield Street right here and Fairview Terrace, and I mention that just because this is a through lot. The subject property consists of 10,256 square feet, and it's located in a single residence 2 district, again in West Newton. The property is currently improved with a single family dwelling that was constructed in 1950. Abutting properties along Richfield Road include similar lot sizes that are improved with single-family dwellings, and the surrounding neighborhood includes single residence 2 district further north and multi-residence 1 and 3, and further north is West Newton Center with Business 1 and Business 2 districts. So for the zoning relief here, you see that they're seeking a special permit site plan approval to exceed the maximum FAR, and they are proposing 0.60 where 0.38 is the maximum allowed by right.
Not now.
And when considering,
on.
I'm sorry?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm just giving some information to a member of the audience, Sandria. When it's your turn to speak, I will call on you, okay? If Can you hear me? I will call on you when it's time. Thank you. Sorry, Sandria, go ahead. Sorry
No
for the
worries.
interruption.
No worries. So for the counselors for criteria to consider when reviewing the proposal, we have the standard special permit conditions that the site in a single residence 2 district is an appropriate location for the construction of a single family dwelling resulting in an FAR of 0.60 where 0.30 is the maximum allowed as of right, that the construction of a single family dwelling resulting in an FAR of 0.6 where 0.38 is the maximum allowed by right as developed and operated will not adversely affect the neighborhood, that there will also be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians created by the construction of the dwelling that exceeds FAR, and that access to the streets over the sites is appropriate for the types and numbers of vehicles involved for the construction of the single family dwelling. And finally, that the proposed FAR where 0.6 where 0.38 is the maximum allowed as of right is consistent with and not in derogation of the size, scale, and design of other structures in the neighborhood. And here we have our planning analysis. So the proposed 0.6 FAR is a notable increase from the maximum allowed by as of right, which is 0.38, and that the single family dwelling, however, meets all other zoning requirements, including open space, lot coverage, height, stories, and zoning setbacks. Abutting properties include single family dwellings on similarly sized lots, but the dwellings are smaller, ranging from approximately 2,500 square feet to 4,200 square feet, and that due to differences in elevations along Richfield Road, dwellings can appear to contrast one another in size and height from one side of the street to the other. And finally, the site plan does not propose to add any retaining walls or significantly alter the grading of the existing site. That concludes our planning presentation. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Now we would be happy to hear from the petitioner or owner or team or whatever you've got here. Just identify yourselves. Do you want to share a screen or are you just speaking?
If you could show the site plan, I didn't bring, I brought a site plan, but it's on a board.
Sure, Sandria, could you put the site plan back up?
Sure, I'll be happy to put that up in just a
Thank you.
moment.
Just give us your names and addresses and give us your perspective.
Yep. Good evening. My name's Peter Lavoy. I am the civil engineer and the project manager for this project. I work with D&L Design Group, and we are located at 115 Water Street, Milford, Mass.
Hi, everyone. I'm the homeowner. My name is Peter C. I reside at 28 Way Street, Newton, Mass, Newton Highlands.
Thank you.
So I'll go through a quick little presentation of the project.
Okay.
Okay. So the existing structure, the existing conditions is on the left side of the page where you can see the existing house, the existing driveway, and then you can see the lot, the existing lot that slopes from the left side back towards the back right corner of the lot. So that's how the topography flows now. So what we're proposing is we're proposing a house basically in the same location as the existing. We held the left property line, left setback of the structure and used that. So we have an increase or the larger setback on the right-hand side. We held the front setback of the existing structure for the front of the house and then extended the structure towards the back. We did soil testing that was witnessed by the city's engineer. We are proposing to collect all runoff from our lot and put it into a recharge system in the back of the lot. So the way it was designed, that the increase in impervious to the lot would be collected and directed into the ground. We used stormwater management to design the drainage system. So we are not increasing any runoff with the house size and the driveway size. We did not increase any runoff or volume or rate off of our site. The existing driveway, we used the existing curb cut, so we're not increasing the curb cut on the street side, but as you can see, we held the curb cut and then it kind of opens up a little bit to the garage. That's basically it. We use the existing water and sewer services to service the new home. Grading, we work with the existing topography, so it kind of goes with topography and it's not, we didn't do anything dramatic grading wise, like we didn't add any retaining walls. We kind of worked with the topography on the lot to have the least impact to the neighborhood. So that's basically what we've done. And if you had any questions, then I could answer.
Thank you. When we take it into committee, we may have some questions for you.
Okay.
Thanks very much. I think there are some members of the public who would like to speak to this. Sir? Both of you, you can get in line behind him if you like. You can come to the microphone. I don't want to shout at you. Just give us your name and address.
I am Harvey Fenton. I live at 11 Fairview Terrace. If that chart were to come down a little bit, you would see our house or Fairview Terrace. I don't have wild opposition to this. It is huge. But the area is very steep. And our house, looking out at this property, essentially sees the edge of a hill. The house is up above, so we probably won't be seeing much of the house. In that space at the back end of the lot, again, on the drawings up there, you can see some of it. Is it possible to, yeah, good. The drawing on the left, the before drawing, shows trees, a great number of trees. The effect we get is actually of a little woods, even though it's only about 10 or 12 feet deep.
Yeah.
The drawing on the right shows no trees. Now, I don't know whether that's the plan or that's just an architect's piece of laziness, but it matters. If the trees are going to disappear, as I understand it, there's been no contact with the tree warden on this, and probably before any plans are done, that should get done. The trees there, they're not 40-inch in diameter, but they are big and old, and a bunch of scrub. Another concern I have, you mentioned it, but my hearing is not very good, and the reverberation here is bad, having to do with runoff. I have a concern with it. The runoff we get is not on the surface, it's underground. And it will come to the front of our house against our foundation if there's any changes in it. And I can picture us getting pushed into a $15,000 to $20,000 job of having to, I'm not sure what the right word is, condition the foundation. We get a small amount of seepage now. It probably is not a problem because the plan and the tilt of the land is such that the flow shouldn't change a lot, but maybe it ought to be looked into a little bit. And I have a question.
Could you try and speak a little bit more into the microphone? Could you try and speak a little more into the microphone so we can hear you better? And I agree that acoustics in this room are terrible.
In the after drawing, in the upper right corner, there is a shaded area, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's an architect's convention for something. If that is a structure of some sort, that would affect the fire, I would think, and it's not listed. What is it?
That's their stormwater retention area. Yes. Is that the correct answer that I just answered for him? Yeah. It's an underground stormwater retention area that they're building to take all the additional stormwater that's being created on the site. So it should not be flowing across the street to your house or your basement, ideally. Underground. It's not an above ground structure.
I guess those are my concerns. I said, I'm not outright opposed to this. I just want to make sure it doesn't cause us problems. And say good luck with the construction.
Thank you very much. The tree question, I will come back to when it's my time to talk also. There's another gentleman who would like to speak. Come to the microphone, sir. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Michael McSally, and I live at 17 Richfield Road, which is just to the left of the proposed project. A couple of concerns. One is just the size of this. The only thing separating my house and this house is a driveway. It's about 25 feet or so between the two properties. It's very tight. Now we're talking about putting something considerably taller in there, and then what is there now with, you know, bedroom windows facing my bedroom windows at about 25 feet away. It doesn't seem like it's appropriate for those two small lots side by side. Another thing that I think might be significant is this is a dead end street. It's not a through street. And it's very tight there. I mean, we're only a block from Washington Street, and we're right off Chestnut Street, and it's a very busy road. Probably 15 or 20 times a day, people are using our street to come in and back around, pull U-turns. Like it's the first place they can take a U-turn when they're going the wrong way. This happens 20 times a day. I've had 2 cars that I've parked out in the street legally. People will come in and back out from a neighbor's and then hit my car. I've had thousands of dollars worth of damage from trucks and cars. It's that hectic. There's only 4 houses on this street, yet it's a block away from Chestnut Street, which is one of the main crossroads in Newton. So again, just putting something in here that's almost twice the normal FAR. Is that about right? Did I do the math right? Yeah, just doesn't seem appropriate. So just from the size standpoint, I would be very much against this. And then the other thing with the water, I mean, it's a very unusual street in that to your point, the people that live in, is it Fair? What's the road, Fair? Yeah, we're up about 6 or 8 feet higher than they are. And there's a retaining wall, and it's a very odd, from your viewpoint, it'd be horrible. Now you're talking about raising something even higher than that. And then it's also like we're in a canyon, because if you go to at the dead end street, it slopes up about 20 or 30 feet in grade to Highland, and there's houses there. And the other side of my street, so the water flows in 3 directions down to my lot and then down to their street with a retaining wall, and it floods every time it rains. Anytime there's any rain, I get, you know, a foot of water in my basement, and that's just, there's like an aquifer or something that flows down through. You know, as I said, we're in a canyon almost, and I'm just worried about any kind of disruption to the flow of water and drainage and whatnot, putting a bigger structure here, less free area. And we have a water problem. You must have a water problem too, because it rolls off our lot through the retaining wall down to their street. And in the winter, you can't drive on these streets because of the water that flows naturally. It ices up. Plows don't take care of it. It's a real hazard. Trying to get out from either your road or my road to Chestnut Street and take a left or a right turn. Anytime there's any water flow, it cascades down both of our roads, and it freezes, and you can't even brake. You end up sliding into Chestnut Street. I've seen this happen so many times. So I'm very worried about any impact that, you know, drainage might have on this. And it's bad enough as it is, and I just worry that something of this size is going to make it worse. So I'm very much against this project as proposed.
Thank you very much, and thank you for taking the time to come here tonight. Anyone else from the public want to speak to this? Kai?
Hello.
Hello.
Private Panic, homeowner of 5 Richfield Road, which is to the right of 11. Yeah, I basically have all the same concerns as the previous speakers. Just to emphasize, Richfield Road has 5 houses on it. It's small, it's a small dead end, narrow street. It has kind of a cute character. There are quite a good number of trees. And just maybe one more word regarding sloping. So the street slopes in 2 directions. The street slopes from left to right towards Chestnut and then down the hill towards West Newton Center. So it's very slow. And honestly, I feel like if the house would be like in the 3,800, 4,000 square foot range, it would be a big house for the street. But that 60%, that just seems like, I don't know even how to describe it. That seems like a lot. And also the same thing for me, like you, in the drawing for the proposed site plan, there are just no more trees. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's very misleading. It kind of misleads the drawing. I feel like, so is a plan to get rid of all the trees? I mean, that would be a massive change. That's pretty much it.
Thank you very much. I'm not going to do back and forth with you, but when there are questions which we'll accumulate and ask you, and we're happy to have you respond, but I don't want you to be responding to each person who speaks. It's just not how we do it. It will take too long. Right now, after hearing from the public, what we do is take it into committee. I see you're taking notes, which will be terrific. And I'll give you the chance to address the questions and comments that have been asked and that you would like to respond to. Lucas, followed by Block.
Thank you,
Followed by
Chair.
Leary. Oh, sorry. Followed by Farrell. I missed you. But that's because you spoke 4 times before. Okay, we're all going to speak tonight. We're going to start with Lucas.
Thank you, Chair. So what I would say just to start off with is that your FAR is 0.6 when the maximum allowed is 0.38. I haven't heard a reason why you need to build a home that's maybe 40% greater than what we normally allow in our zoning. That's one. So I would like to know why you need a house this big, because I am not prepared to vote for a single family home where the FAR is 0.6. We heard from one of your neighbors that he thinks the house is too big, which brings me to my next question is I would recommend, if you would like approval for any special permit, that you hold a neighborhood meeting. We've heard from 3 of your neighbors so far. Let's talk to the neighbors on Richfield, talk to the neighbors on Fairview, and have a meeting either on Zoom or in person. Make yourself available to them. The other thing I want to say is if and when you come back is to present this project in a form of a PowerPoint presentation. Let's see some renderings of all elevations, what is there right now, what is going to be there, orientation of any parking. Let's see what this is going to look like. But basically, this is way too big for the site. And I have a feeling other committee members are going to say that. So I am going to preemptively, when ready, move hold. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Before I go in the order that I wrote down incorrectly, but I'm going to go by the order I have written down. We have another member of the public whose hand I see now raised. We're going to go back to this person and then we'll come back to committee. Chris Chu.
Hey there. So yes, we live at 113 Chestnut Street, and we are, but functionally, Richfield Road is our front door. That's the way we go in and out. And I look out on Richfield Road. I keep an eye on all the kids who are playing there. And I'm an architect, as some of you might know. I've been working in Newton for 20, lived there for 20 years, but working in Newton for 30 years. And this house shows a great lack of careful design. They're egregiously large rooms. It's very poorly annotated. If you look at the architectural drawings, they're inconsistent. Gable roofs are shown here, but not there. Covered porches show roofs here, but not there. It's just, to me, it is not developed. And it's one of the other things that really scares me is that those beautiful trees in the back, which are the buffer, it's like a little mini woods. If you look at the grading carefully, even though it's gradual, by moving that 122 grade line to the left and that 124 grade line to the left, you are basically eliminating those existing trees. Trees that with deep roots cannot be uncovered. You know, the roots cannot be moved over 2 feet. They are there in the ground. And that's basically eliminating many beautiful old trees. They're evergreens. It's really a mini forest back there. That is a real concern of mine, that this plan does not take into account, okay, the drainage may be solved, but you are, in the meantime, to achieve that, you're removing trees. I mean, there's a whole bunch of beautiful trees there. So anyway, if you look at the plans carefully, as an architect, there are many, many, many errors in that drawing. To begin with, the site plan, if you look on the notes part, it refers to the town of Milford as opposed to Newton. Hello, this is in Newton. I don't know how that got by everybody, but in general, it is overly large. I have seen many houses where some careful designing, and I'm not saying I want to do it, but I see so many like open spaces that are just square footage for no good reason. So it's egregiously large. It's not my project. I don't want to be the designer, but I know I could design a 4,000 square foot house. Is big, so that it actually enhances the neighborhood. I'm also worried about if they have kids. There's no place to play in the backyard. The house is so big. There's no yard. There's no yard in the back to play. Anyway, so those are all my concerns, is that it's really, oh, and also my husband here would like to speak. Barry Abramson at 113 Chestnut Street.
Yes, hello.
We will give you your own 3 minutes, Mr. Abramson. Go ahead.
I appreciate that. I'm an urban planner by training and very sensitive to design issues. We're happy to welcome this new family to our little street. But as my wife, who has a ton of experience in residential design, has said, you can accommodate even a multi-family, a multi-generational family in a house that would conform to the FAR, 4,000 square feet, with more careful design. And a more than 50% increase in FAR. This is not just a marginal accommodation, to deal with a technicality. This is a huge variance, so to speak, from the zoning. And if you start granting changes like that, what was the point of the zoning? We would love to see these folks be able to either adapt the existing house or knock it down and build a new one that meets their needs, but also is within the scale of that neighborhood, doesn't loom over, especially Ty's property next door, doesn't present this massive intrusion on the neighborhood where every other house conforms to the FAR zoning. Thank you for allowing me that extra time.
Of course, you're each entitled to your individual time, and thank you both for speaking and being here. I didn't see your hands up earlier, so I came to a little bit late after we started taking it into committee, which we're going to go back to right now. Councillor Block. Oh, wait, let me mention that President and member of the Land Use Committee, Mark Laredo, has joined us virtually, so he's here now too. Go ahead, Councillor Block.
I'll be glad to speak, but if you want to reorder things, I'm also fine with that. But so I want to add to what Councillor Lucas said about this being too large for the site. It is also too large for this street. And at least one of the members of the public described in some detail that this is a dead-end street. This is a small street. And this is not what we should be doing with this lot. The trees also in the back, it's a beautiful screen right now, and there's nothing wrong with the house as it is right now. It currently is consistent with the neighborhood, and that's all I have to say about this.
Thank you, Councillor Block. Councillor Leary.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'm just completely astounded at the request to almost double the FAR. What is the point of the zoning? That's a very good question. The house is too big. And I'm also very concerned about the number of trees that are going to be removed. And I'm happy, I also am familiar with this area. And I'm particularly familiar with water issues and I hear a lot about the water issues at the second church at the bottom of the hill, which have worsened over time at the point where they're putting hundreds of thousands of dollars of remediation to try and keep the water out of their basement. And a lot of that is we're removing vegetation, trees, and pervious area. And this would fundamentally change the characteristic of the street. And I think a lot of good points have already been made, but I certainly could not consider voting for this project as it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Leary. Councillor Farrell. I know, I surprised you.
Thank you so much, Chair. Many people are talking about the size of the house, so I'm not going to even approach that. I agree with them. I'm not sure if we've all seen this territory. I know that Councilors Labowitz and this guy right here, and I went out there 2 days ago. You walk out on this property, the drop to the next street is at least 12 feet. Has to be. And I'm 6 feet tall, so I got a sense of the height. But I was stunned. I think we were all pretty stunned at the drop off down to Fairview, or I apologize if I'm not naming that properly. Fairview Terrace. And those trees along that back line, there are 4 of them, I think, that are just big, beautiful trees. And they're down on the line. I can't see you. I'd like to know, number one, if you're going to clear cut everything as we see it in this other plan, but it looks like a clear cut. But those big trees in the back have got to provide significant drainage support, it would seem to me. And we're hearing a lot about water, but just they do form a curtain. And since they're not going to build down to the street, why not leave those great big beautiful trees? And I'm glad to know what the shaded area is. I actually thought it was going to be a pickleball court, which would I would have opposed in a neighborhood like this. But again, I'm stumbling, but I don't mean to. I hope we will see in the new plan not only something about the house, but also about landscaping and some rationale for taking down those very big, beautiful trees that are on Fairview and that I don't think are interfering at all with construction of the house. They certainly don't detract from any little backyard there already is. And thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Councillor Farrell. Councillor Labowitz.
So I don't see a reason to take time to reiterate everything that's been said, which I agree with. I do have one question, though. One of the neighbors said that the water infiltrates, it's not a surface thing, it's under the ground. And I wondered whether what is that called? In the corner to capture the water? I can't remember the name of
Drainage
it.
system,
What's that?
underground drainage system.
The
Water
underground,
storage.
the water storage underground drainage system captures the water that the neighbor was concerned about as opposed to the surface water. That's just a question right now. But, I certainly would oppose the current plan and would support a hold
I would put
to
those
allow-
questions on your list.
to allow the developer and the petitioner to come back to us with a different plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, did you want to speak again? No. Yes? No. Yes, come to the microphone.
I just wanted to address that question. I mean, that underground water it's probably just taking care of his gutters on the perimeter. I mean, we have, I'm glad other people acknowledged, especially with the church down the hill even further. I mean, we're literally in this amphitheater where water comes at us from 3 different directions. It's not just surface water, that's considerable, but there's some underground aquifers down there that I'm positive exist because they come into my basement. Even when when it stopped raining, I start getting at certain times just flows of water. By the way, I'm a licensed construction supervisor in Massachusetts. I know construction very well. There's some unusual underground water conditions there that are not, so it's not just the surface, and that
I'm
contains.
going to speak a little to that too.
Yeah.
Next, when it's my turn. I'm just going to do that before I go back to you, Councillor Lobovitz, because I'm frothing.
Just
yes.
Last thing, the trees that everybody's talking about, those are also continue on to where I live. And I mean, there's 80, 90 foot tall trees that are 80, 90 years old. I mean, they're magnificent, they're tall, and there's probably 20 of them between the 2 properties that act as, helping with drainage, but also a barrier from us, the street behind us. I mean, it's not just like 20-foot trees. These are 90, 100 feet high.
Okay, thank you, sir. I have hands, then I'm going to hold off because now we have 2 other counselors and I'm going to go last. So it's also my ward. Councilor Laredo, welcome. And what would you like to ask or say about this project?
Colleagues, my apologies for being late this evening. I was at another event. Look, I'm going to be really brief. I am all for granting special permits and granting relief when there's a sound need for doing so. That's what the special permit process is all about. I'm at a loss to what the need is here. What's the need? Except I want to build a much, 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 much bigger house. We're not adding a housing unit. We're not tearing down a house that looks like it's completely, uninhabitable. We're not talking about putting an addition on, which I'm always in favor of, virtually always. But we're having something that's am I right here, Ms. Berman, that it's literally double the allowed FAR?
It's close to double, President Laredo. It's the allowable FAR is 0.38.
So
but
when this came to planning, what was the justification or rationale presented for it other than I want to build bigger?
So the petitioner sought the special permit to exceed the FAR. To be fair, the petitioner is also meets all other zoning requirements for the lot. So this is their one item of relief.
Right, but we do have those zoning requirements for a reason. If in its wisdom the council chooses to change the rules, so be it. And certainly if they were coming in, 0.2, 0.4, some modest amount over, because there's a particular design feature, I wouldn't look at this twice. But I'm very troubled that when you're building brand new on a good sized lot, you're coming and say, well, I just want to build bigger. I mean, this is frankly, this is exactly the stuff that our constituents get so upset about. they don't understand the rationale for us approving this type of project. And I want the project to succeed. I mean, I think if they choose to tear it down and it's not preferably preserved, great. That's their prerogative. You know, I personally would like to see it preserved, but you know, come back to us with a complete design that's really thoughtful, that has rationales for the special permit, because there is supposed to be a rationale for the special permit other than I want it. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, President Laredo. We are still in committee on this. This is in my ward, and I used to live near here, so I understand the water issues too. I lived on Putnam. It goes Chestnut Highland, Putnam, down the hill. The underground part is there's a system of water flowing from the hill through the ledge. It used to go through my basement, which was a house built in 1890 that was built with a trench all the way through it in order to allow all that water from West Newton Hill to flood through our basement. So I understand what's going on over here too. Used to live very close by. Did visit the site today. I do have several questions. It's clear that you're going to have to come back with a extremely revised plan, and I know you're taking good notes. So I'm just going to ask you a few questions to add to that. I don't think we have to get into all of it tonight, but if there are some things you want to address after all of this tonight, we have two more counselors from Ward 3 not on the committee who want to speak, and then I will give you a chance. But again, we don't want to go till midnight, and you will be coming back before us. My questions, and I also want to thank Chris Chu and Barry Abramson, who said a lot of what I'm going to say. As you were here, I think at the beginning, I'm a landscape architect and site planner by profession, so I think this way anyway. Is there a registered architect on your team? Or you don't have an architect on your team? You do. Registered, licensed. Okay. I found it interesting and different and odd that you have a civil engineer as your project manager doing the presentation. It's usually an architect, or, you know, even with a site planner or an attorney. You definitely had a civil engineering approach to this. I looked at the plans too, and one of the neighbors spoke about how close this was to his house and having to look into the windows. There are hardly any windows on the two sides. Like, the fenestration design is very odd to me also, like two like tiny windows on the two sides of the building. I have questions about the trees. I was hoping that the new plan just didn't show the trees. I don't know why you would even take out those 2 rows of arborvitae. That's what separates that man's driveway. Why you would take those out, and the whole woods in the back, you're going to have to remove those with this kind of a grading plan, as Chris Chu pointed out. You can't change the grade around established trees like that without killing them. I think that drainage area might change depending on if the scope of the project changes and after some of the comments you've heard tonight about it. The house is enormous, both on the lot and on the street. That's something that is sometimes okay, but again, this kind of a jump in FAR, as many people have pointed out, without there being some public benefit or good reason, is not something that we usually look favorably on. The stormwater plan was submitted but hasn't been reviewed yet, and I think that's fine. I think our city engineer could probably wait on reviewing that, because you might want to revise it if you change the scope of the project. I'm not sure he needs to waste his time reviewing that right now. I'm assuming somebody on your team is familiar with the tree ordinance, and if not, you will need to become familiar with the tree ordinance, because the amount of trees you're planning to remove here is huge. I will finish talking and then you guys will have your chance. I'm not usually so bossy, but yeah, we're just doing it this way tonight. I don't want, again, to have a back and forth during the conversations. The amount of trees, you either have to replace them kind of by caliper inch, so to speak, or by numbers. I'm not sure that is something you want to do with the amount of trees you're removing here. Another thing I could tell, maybe, I don't know where your architect is from, but I'm going to guess if the engineer is from Milford, the architect may not be from Newton. It's a very garage forward design, and we're trying to get away from that. If you've been following zoning and planning and zoning changes, we're trying not to have houses be so garage centric, so vehicle forward. And the garage is forward. The garage is in front of the house by a little bit. And that's just a design thing you might want to rethink. It's a suggestion to not do that here in Newton these days. I think I will stop with those things. It is a quaint little dead end cul-de-sac. This kind of house doesn't seem to give it any nod towards the context of that. And now I'm going to go to my two Ward 3 colleagues, first Councillor Malachy and then Councillor Wright.
Thank you. So, gosh, I don't know where to start. This is sort of the epitome of everything that can be done wrong and that is terrible, that is happening all over the place in one aspect, and this sort of combines all the aspects. First of all, in case anyone hasn't checked, this house listing is still on Redfin. It only sold a year ago. You can look at the pictures in it. It's a beautiful house. It's sold for, I believe, 1.3 million or so. Great starter home or downsize home or whatever. There would be many people who would love to live in a house like this. It just boggles my mind that somebody who wants a large house would buy a house like this on a lot where they can't build a house as big as they want and then try to reverse zoning to build a house as big as they want. It also really appalls me that apparently this did not go to the Historical Commission. There is a waiver of demolition delay signed by the preservation planner, David Lewis, which suggests to me that this was approved at staff level, which I just cannot understand how this could happen, because this is a lovely house built in 1950 in context with the neighborhood on a little street that is, retains its context. So it should at least have gone to the Historical Commission. I would like to read you this is sort of the blurb in the master page of the application for special permit. Describe proposed project. The proposed project will be to raise the existing dwelling and construct a new dwelling which exceeds the maximum allowable FAR, so it would require me to ask for a special permit. The new dwelling will be a 2.5-story, 6-bedroom, 7.5 bathroom home. This will be a multi-generational home for my own use, and the design will be a colonial home which will fit right into the neighborhood. I would say it does anything but fit right in at twice the size and sort of looming over the adjacent houses. I share the concerns about the trees. I think the applicant needs to get an arborist first, see what can be built without damaging too many trees, or look at different alternatives so that you consider tree preservation and the cost of not preserving trees that whose caliper inches would have to be planted on site, which it doesn't look like there would be much room for.
Thank you, Councillor Malachy. Can you wrap up now?
Yeah, I'm wrapping it, or paid into the tree preservation fund. So think about that before you do the design, not as an afterthought. And also, I believe there was a mention of using the existing sewer and water. And I think if you're doubling, anytime you're doubling the size or doing a complete rebuild, I think you have to look at putting in new water and sewer. So thank you.
You're correct. They're not supposed to add any stormwater to the public stormwater system. And I'm not sure if that's what you meant.
That's just the rules. That's not something to brag about that we're going to contain the stormwater. That's just the rules.
Okay, let's go on to Councillor Wright. We will have heard from all three Ward 3 councillors.
Thank you very much. Yes, when something's built new, you want to meet the zoning, and being this much above FAR, which FAR is the massing of the house, is not something that I would vote for. One of the things I knew that this architect was not from Newton, because he didn't do the little trick of not counting the attic. But even if you, so they had to count the attic in the FAR, but even if you remove the attic, it still was way above the FAR for this site. So the footprint needs to get smaller. And I agree with the trees. They must, again, someone who's not from Newton didn't know our policy. I mean, it's going to be a fortune to take down all those trees and not replace it. And those trees are helping greatly about stormwater and the water on the property, and taking those away, I feel for the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Good. A couple of new points, a couple of reiterated points, but I think you've gotten the message here. Councilor Labavist, did you want to say something? Because they would like to respond to something. Do you have something new to add for now, or do you want to move towards?
Just my understanding is that to address all these concerns about stormwater going onto other properties, et cetera, that the rule is that you cannot increase the amount of water flowing from the property into adjacent properties. Is that correct?
Correct. And we've learned that with our Chapin Road experience so far.
It's important that once they revise the plan, they also get an assurance from engineering that no additional water would be flowing to anywhere off of the property. And that's a major concern that's been raised tonight by counselors and neighbors. And that needs to be definitely addressed, and we need to be assured that that will not happen. Thank you.
That is definitely something that the city engineer will review when they review final stormwater plan. I know you folks might want to say a few things in rebuttal or clarification. Chris Chu, I see your hand up again. Did you want to add something new that hasn't been said yet tonight? Or is your hand just up from before?
Hi, I just wanted to, from everything that I've seen, I downloaded all the drawings. I studied the drawings, the architectural drawings with a fine tooth comb. There are discrepancies all over the place. I don't believe these were, there's no, I just want to say, and I don't believe an architect was involved, shall I say. An engineer, not too bad, but there were just so many inconsistencies. I have no confidence in the drawings that were presented. I have no confidence. And I believe with the tree ordinance that we have in place, I don't think they could even, they can't take down any trees. I mean, it's just anyway, so I would say that I don't want to, I just want to say that the architectural drawings were greatly lacking, period.
Yes, we got that. And that's why I asked them if they actually had a registered architect on their team, because it didn't look that way to me necessarily either, or not one that of the level that we're used to seeing here at the Land Use Committee. But thank you again, Ms. Chu. Do you folks want to say anything more tonight, or do you want to just absorb all this and we're going to hold this and let you rethink and you can come back to us? But are there some things you would like to leave us with? Let these people talk now, sir.
So I mean, I hear all the concerns. Just like, I guess 2 quick responses. One, the trees on the plan on the right-hand side, which was showing the proposed, we're not removing the trees along the property line or along the front of the property. The layer, the CAD layer was not, it was off. It was a drafting mistake.
Oh, this was CAD.
Yeah, it's CAD. So I understand with the drainage now, hearing all the concerns, but I did do soil testing. The soil on this lot was an A soil. I did not find any observations of groundwater. I dug down 10 feet with a machine, but I will take in, the concerns regarding the trees and regarding the drainage. We will go. You'd like to put this on hold and come back?
We will definitely be holding this. When you come back, fix the CAD problem so that what you're presenting to us is what you're actually proposing, so we can see things accurately. I don't think any of us are criticizing your professional abilities as a civil engineer. I was questioning your ability to be a good project manager, given your particular area of expertise. As Chris Chu pointed out and Barry Abrams, there are other issues here than just civil engineering that didn't look to us to have been addressed yet, particularly the architecture. And the scale is something, the scale, the FAR is something you are definitely going to have to talk about amongst your team members before you come back, because you heard from everybody that this kind of a jump in FAR is not going to fly here.
Right. No, I just want to emphasize that we're not removing all the trees from the site, and we did take a I did take a close look at the drainage.
So the 2 rows of arborvitae on both sides are staying.
Yes, we tried to match the grade on both sides, as you can see.
Yeah, that's scrubby stuff in front does not need to be maintained, by the way, but the 2 rows of arborvitae maybe you should in that row, and the woods in the back. If you can figure out how to locate, a drainage area that's not going to involve grading that will kill all those trees.
Correct.
And were some of the tree comments
I
you heard.
understand. We'll take a look at the size and we'll.
Yeah. Because I feel like you were really raked over the coals tonight, and it's not usual for us to for there to be such a negative reaction from everyone who spoke. But I'm hoping part of the special permit process is it can really help lead to a better product in the end. So for you to consider everything you've heard tonight from the public and from the city council, I know it will be a big change from what you, Mr. Z, was thinking of doing, but hopefully it'll end up with a better thing in the end. Sir, did you want to speak again? And then we're going to adjourn and everyone will be very happy.
You need a
Again,
motion, you need a motion to hold, Counselor.
Right,
Clark.
Yes, we're not there yet, Councilor President Laredo.
I may be saying things that have already been covered, but I'm unable to hear what's been going on. Number one, I think these folks better check with the forestry people, with the tree people before proceeding, because their requirements might change the allowed floor plan, the ground plan. That's number one. And number two is, since the foundation is going to be enlarged, they will be digging around on the ground, and that has a fighting chance of altering the flow of water underground.
Thank you, sir. I want to ask you, did you notice that we have closed captioning on the screen? You can't see that either? Sorry? Oh, okay. We did that on purpose for people who have been mentioning the difficulty hearing here. So maybe we'll look at how to increase the font of that. I'm sorry that it was so hard for you to hear things. Yes, President Laredo, Councilor Lobovitz has already indicated that he's going to move to hold. So we're aware of the procedure happening now.
I move to hold.
Everyone in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Yes.